The views, information, or opinions expressed during the Geeks Under the Influence podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of RVA Magazine, Loot Crate, amzn.to, or their employees. Listener discretion is advised. Fuck off if you don't like it.
Geeks Under the Influence.
I can't bring myself to use GIMP because I've spent so many years of my life on Photoshop.
That's the hard part, is that it took some adjustment.
Yeah.
It doesn't do exactly the same stuff that Photoshop does in the
But
same
it's
way.
so powerful for a free tool.
For it's like the open office of graphic software. So that's what I've gone to.
Until Google unveils their Drive version of Photoshop.
Hey, you know what?
That would be great.
If it's cheaper than $600 fucking dollars like Photoshop is, then I'm fine with it. So
I've been stuck on Photoshop because I tried GIMP. I also tried Lightworks, which is their but a free video editor, and it's like so much power, but it doesn't do what I already know, and my brain won't let me.
Well, that was the hard part with going from Photoshop to GIMP, is that is that I was so used to it that I would go to the tool that I needed and it wasn't there, and then I had to figure out where it was, and then the layer system is totally different and more complicated with GIMP, where I just would open up new windows and copy and paste there just to save it before putting it back in. It's just this whole thing, but
So GIMP had Sega font?
I had to find the
You
Sega
can
font.
you can definitely get one.
Yeah. It's not tough. But
It's pretty easy to find a font for just about anything, which is amazing. There's people out there just making free fonts.
Yep.
I once found a font that was in the entire language for Hyrule, the Hylian. They have it backwards for Twilight Princess and forwards for other games. And I typed up a whole entire Zelda character sheet using that font.
That's why I've been told with
Sweet.
the title cards that I'm doing now, and also with all the weekly logo changes that we do. It's like, that's a lot of work. I'm like, do you think this is not fun for me? This is super fun.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm not doing it because it's like, oh shit, I've got to Photoshop a beer in John Waters' hand. No, it's this is fun for me.
And there's so much nostalgia going through and just looking for Sega font or Altered Beast or any of the other
You get to research the things that you love.
Yeah, man.
Which that's kind of the reason we started the podcast in the first place, is just to kind of reinvest ourselves in the shit that we loved as kids, or that find that nostalgia again, which is what really this episode is all about. Sega. I mean, we're all about the age that Sega was one of the major systems when we were children. It was
Sega
some of us are old enough
Genesis.
for NES, but then SNES and Genesis, they were the battle of the beasts of the 90s. They released in 89 and 90, I think, subsequently, and it was the first time that there was a real legit console war.
Yeah,
and I'm sure I'm not the only person that had friends that, somebody had a Sega and somebody had a Genesis, but rarely did you see somebody with both, and then you'd have to go over to a friend's house. No, I had both. But
Okay, yeah, we had both. We had uncles, though. It wasn't ours.
Yeah, no, I had a father who was trying to buy my love.
Nice,
So,
yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
If you had both, which one were you playing more?
Oh, Super Nintendo all day.
Yeah. Okay.
But also I had Super Nintendo for a while before I had the Genesis.
So you were already used to it.
I was already used to it. And also they had a mouse for Mario Paint and the Super Scope.
Oh, yes. Mario
Super Scope
Paint.
was amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
But then you got into, for me, it was the Mortal Kombat shock. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe I can actually do this shit in a video game.
Well,
and I'm only a kid.
As I got older, I realized
I'm only a kid. That was a realization that dawned on you as your child.
Fuck, I'm a kid.
Very
And
self-aware.
I just took his fucking head off.
And I'm only a kid.
Have we already started?
Yeah, we're
this is
live.
it. We're rolling.
I completely missed. I was just like, oh, this seems like a conversation you'd have on episode.
That's because we're on an episode. Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, I mean, you got that across both platforms. So.
But
Yeah.
that was the difference between the two, is that the Genesis version, and why I bought more Genesis games as I got older, way gorier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was an exception that I just discovered today. There was do you guys know Fist of the North Star?
Of course.
Yeah.
This anime, super violent. They had a port of a game of that version of the game in Japan to the U.S. and they dialed back a ton of the violence. And in the Japanese version, every time you punched a dude, their head exploded and then their bodies exploded in a big gory mass.
Nice.
For the port, they made it so that their bodies suddenly shifted off screen. And so when you punch them, they just went whoop.
Yeah,
and
just like
completely
slide
flew
whistle
off screen,
sound
yeah.
that should
Just
be
get
added
a
in.
cane around their neck that pulls them.
It does seem bizarre to me since like violence was kind of erupting into video games in that time, and I don't know why that one was dialed back.
Well, you know, that's one thing with Mortal Kombat. Like the blood, they tried to get them to turn it green.
Oh yeah.
To make it more digestible for the parents.
Right,
not the
exactly.
kids.
Because that's who's spending the money.
Of
Like you have
course.
to make a game that's marketable to the audience of children, but sellable to parents.
Right.
We got to do the introduction and
Yeah.
of the panel and everything
what I was
before we
looking
start.
for.
Yeah.
We're going
We
hard.
lose track sometimes, but
Too excited.
this is Geeks Under the Influence, episode 91, talking all things Sega Genesis. So welcome.
Hi. Whoa,
there's-
camera.
That's what I was looking
Oh,
for.
that's right.
You two are on this one.
Hi. We're on camera.
Seats taken on this one. You have your own
Yes.
camera.
Yeah.
Taken.
I'll just call that the back of the bus camera, so you guys are the cool guys.
Oh, okay.
Cool
All right.
guys.
That's not the way I was thinking of
Oh,
it.
okay. Oh no, that's not. And on the panel, Rosa Parks is here.
This episode will be on civil
Lord.
rights.
Yeah, right.
Civil rights under the influence.
I got a bunch of geeks about civil rights on this episode.
Nice.
I'm Mike the Hobbit Bickett, host of Geeks Under the Influence. You can find me on Twitter at GUIPod. Or no, that's the GUI podcast one.
Oh god.
You can find me on Twitter at Mike Bickett or the GUI Podcast Twitter at GUI Podcast RVA. Follow all of our social media stuff at GUIPodcast.com under our links page and join the conversation. Tell us what you want to hear on future episodes, what you liked about the past ones. And next to me on my left is the Sexual Chocolate, the Mulatto Magic. Mr. Lowdown Brown MacGyver is here.
What's up, guys?
Joining us for some retro gaming love.
And watching you fail at life.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, mainly the reason you come to these things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just to
I, mean,
watch,
I love talking about this shit, but what? Yeah, you're the comic relief.
I call it a perk.
Yeah, right.
watching me go, I don't know. Yeah, that
Today,
for
Junior.
an hour and a half.
Man, the chemistry here is magical.
You like that? You like that?
Now, did you have a Genesis growing up?
No, but I had everywhere I lived when I was younger. I had friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally probably played the Genesis maybe fraction less than I played the Super NES,
Sure.
just because all my friends either had both or they had just had Genesis.
Well, and it was back in the day where you were at your friend's house or they were at yours. That
Yeah.
there was that constant like flux. So even if you didn't have the Genesis, you kind of had the Genesis.
Access is all you needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
like when I was a kid, 3 years I was living with my grandparents. Yeah, I had a Super NES, and literally my friend Mike, right around the corner, had a Genesis. So we'd be at my house, we'd play some Super NES, and then we'd ride our bikes to his house for like the next part of the day, and we'd play Genesis.
Nice.
It was awesome.
Next one up on the panel is Joe, a first-timer to Geeks Under the Influence, but you might be familiar with him from Instant Replay Live.
Would they be? Is that a thing people are
Maybe.
familiar with?
Possibly, we plug you guys all the time on here.
we do
like,
appreciate it.
You're on the breaks and stuff, so
I
yeah.
know you guys like getting plugged, don't you?
Yeah, we love it.
Get plugged 24/7.
Nice.
Actually, on the thing, it's Nick recorded.
Yeah,
the last time he was
That's-
on,
I
he was
rambled
like,
about getting plugged for like
I'm
5
getting-
minutes.
I'm
these
getting plugged by
guys.
all these guys. Yeah.
I don't know who's plugging him 24/7.
I'm
Jesus
plugged right
Christ.
now.
You just walk around with a plug? Is that what it is? Okay.
Exactly.
There you go.
Hey, no judgment.
Is that what that
No
vibration
kink
is?
shaming. Yeah.
Yeah,
All is
Everybody-
welcome.
You guys
Everybody-
might be able to hear it on microphone.
everybody lives their truth. It's fine. But Joe, welcome. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I mean, it makes the most sense that if we're doing a video game episode, to have some video game YouTubers on. Next to you is your co-host, I guess,
Yeah.
for Instant Replay
Yeah.
Live.
Younger
Is that-
brother.
that's Younger
No.
brother.
No.
Nick is here.
Yes, and I am his older brother.
Okay.
And Joe likes to also often start episodes by saying, "Hi, I'm Nick," when he is Joe. It's a whole thing that he likes to just throw things off as much as possible.
So he's a little rascal.
He is.
He's a rascal.
He's just such a rascal. But yeah, so Joe is my brother, and we host the show. And the whole thing was formed for us to basically be able to reconnect after becoming adults and lives just kind of separating. And we use video games because that's how we hung out when we were kids.
When it
So
seems
why
to be
not
going,
continue?
It's going pretty well. You guys just surpassed 1,000 subscribers, right?
We
Or-
just hit 1,500
1,500.
not too long ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's it's subs are a weird thing because they're not always indicative of like of reality, but
I'm
it's
aware.
still a nice number to
I'm
see.
very aware. But yeah, anytime you see your numbers increasing in any form when you're
Right.
doing this kind of stuff, it's always nice to see. Even though there's like the somebody subscribing on your Instagram that's like, do you want to fuck me? Click this link.
And you're
it's
like,
you know what?
well-
I'm not deleting you. You're another number on my Instagram. Fine. Not gonna fuck you.
Plus,
but
maybe. Oh, okay. Never mind. Whoops. That's just never mind.
Never mind. Getting too deep into Nick's life here. Finally, the last one on the panel. The man with the terrible opinions.
That's your perspective.
Baldy McGillicuddy,
Dude,
the
come
DC
on.
fan. What?
Come on, man.
Oh, he's a DC
God damn it,
fan.
Hobbit.
He's a DC fan.
He is a decent man.
I got a book to show you on the break that might make you a little bit, your pants a little tighter.
Oh, you've got my curiosity, that's for sure.
My nephews, because they're DC fans, got me
I saw that.
the DC Encyclopedia for Christmas because they're dicks.
You got the you got the updated version. You get to read just how much better it is.
Oh no, that's not
Than Marvel.
actually. On the first page, it says we're sorry, we're not Marvel. So.
Well, now you've really had my curiosity because if that shit's true, I'm going to be really
Just
mad.
a handwritten note like put in the first page.
I can't see them buying that in good conscience.
No,
not at all.
But this is the panel for our Sega Genesis episode, and I think the first thing to really talk about is the console wars of the '90s. I mean,
Yeah, it was huge.
we were talking about you had a Genesis and a friend had a Super Nintendo, or vice versa, or maybe both.
Both.
But
Lucky bastards.
I was me. I
did.
worked towards
Fuck
getting
you.
a Genesis, and then I got a Super Nintendo, and then got a Genesis afterwards as a kind of a payoff. Like, sorry, I won't be in your life. Here's a Genesis. I think
Yeah.
was the deal.
That have a lot to do with why you didn't play it as much either? Because
No, it didn't. It didn't make me like ugly cry as I was playing. Fucking, like,
It just
Dude,
sat there collecting
can
dust.
I get a video of that? Like, Mike Ugly crying playing his Genesis.
I'm playing like Sonic Spinball, and just,
You just stare at it for hours and going, I'm going to play you today. I'm going
He's
to
not
conquer it.
fast
I'm going to
enough.
conquer this.
He's not fast enough to run away from my demons.
I have a better connection with the system than I do my father. No, that's not. It's not.
I mean, a lot of people can say that.
Oh, I know, that's so true.
Yeah.
I put a lot of damage on some controllers
I broke-
with the thoughts of my dad.
I broke a mini controller. Gotta say. Yeah.
I think it's probably fair to say that both Nick and I have spent more time on video game controllers than we have with our parents.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's
I-
a sad. I got no follow up because it's just sadness.
We all just about just lower.
Starting the podcast on a positive note here.
We
I
did.
mean, I don't think actually I don't see that as negative. I'm a reasonably functional human being, and so video games did a pretty decent job. Morrowind taught me how to read real good. And, I got
Real
all kinds-
good.
I got all kinds of
Done
good
made
words.
my real good.
Yeah.
You were doing it right.
Yeah.
I think I get a lot of my morality from video games, like
You
the
know-
archetypical heroes who taught me, like, you need to save someone in distress. You need to, keep trying when things are hard. All of that
You
stuff.
didn't have a choice in the early in Sega and SNES eras. It was always you're a good guy. It wasn't until later that we actually had morality.
Right, and that's what just like comic books. It
Yeah.
did the same thing, except for you could actually be, you could be controlling that world.
Yeah.
Right.
It made you actually feel a part of it, and it also took you away from all the shit that you didn't like. It was like I can literally shut everything off.
Oh yeah.
I can
Escapism
just
is
imagine the
powerful.
conversation with like the grandmother. It's like, well, Castlevania taught me that you got to take care of people. You got to fight the good fight, and the grandma being like, "This boy needs church."
Yeah.
Like, that's where you're getting. Your
I need
Killing
morality.
the demons, Grandma. Killing the demons.
I need a whip, is what I need.
Yeah. Not church. Whip.
Where's a fucking
It's
vampire?
holy water.
Can we
Fuck
can we
you.
have a minor segue that Netflix is doing a Castlevania show?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes,
I didn't know this.
Almost
Oh,
passed
yeah.
out when I found. And it's
Rated
going to
R,
be
gory,
Oh my
awesome.
god, it's going to be extremely violent.
Yeah.
From
Is it-
everything I've read.
Yes.
Is it going to be an anime? Or is it going to be live action?
No, it's
What's-
live action.
Wow.
I'm
Did
not
it?
sure.
I don't, it didn't.
I'm not
I'm
sure,
pretty sure it's
actually.
live. I don't see Netflix. Have they done
They've done
anything?
they've done
a
they've done
couple-
anime now, like straight up
Yeah.
anime.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they're
So I was
actually,
watching.
I mean, they're pretty good.
Well, there was Seven Deadly Sins was one of them.
They had a
what
sci-fi
Knights-
one that was
the
like typical
Sidonia
Yep.
something.
Well,
yeah.
now I
Oh,
gotta
Sidonia,
watch
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I definitely got to check them out.
Yeah, I haven't checked them out yet.
Not R-rated, but TV MA. Because
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way,
I'm excited.
The thing that I mean, minor segue. I want to get back to Sega as quick as possible, but Netflix, whatever their format they're doing, they have really solid writers generally. Like,
Yeah.
not all their shows are hits, but their writing is usually really consistent. And so, for Castlevania to be ported somehow, I'd rather have Netflix
Yeah.
or HBO writers.
Well, I think part of the reason why Netflix works so well with these kind of projects where adapting comic books or video games is the fact that they get the right people to do it, and also they're not beholden to the archaic and completely like ridiculous Nielsen ratings. That doesn't matter anymore. They've just recently, in the past like 5 or 6 years, I think, started allowing for on-demand content to be counted towards Nielsen, but it's only within 48 hours, I think.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
was a
so
limitation.
it's only within the first like 2 days that it actually even counts. So they are so completely lost on how people watch TV now. I know people that even if they're available to watch an episode or two, they're like, no, I'm going to build it up a little bit more so I can knock out
Everything
6,
in one go.
8 episodes at a time.
I want to be engrossed in that story.
Sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's easier to keep track too.
I mean, that's how I watched Westworld in like 2 days.
Oh my
No
God.
shit, dude. That was a
Holy
weekend
shit.
done.
But you can segue that because they take a lot of risk, and Sega took risks. And they came out with the Master?
The Master
Master
Drive.
System.
Master Drive. That's what it is.
Mega Drive.
Mega Drive.
Mega Drive, yeah.
And then that converted over, like in '89, they brought it over to the States, which became Sega Genesis. And like they didn't see much success with that in Japan. And when they brought it over here, that was a big risk because they had sold off some of that property. And then when they brought it over here, I mean, it blew up. It didn't top the market, but it blew up.
So I did a little research to prepare for this, and the whole way that blew up. If you want to talk about taking risks, fucking crazy. What this guy, his name was like Tom Kinsicki or something, Kinnicky or something like that. But he was the.
I like Kinnicky.
Yeah,
let's
Kinnicky.
go
Why not?
Kinnicky.
Yeah, he's from Greece. Yeah,
right.
but
Hey,
he
Kinnicky.
he did this basically. This presentation for he was the CEO of Sega America, and he went to Japan. He said, I did this presentation for them, and I said, we need to change everything we're doing because what we're doing isn't working. Because when Mega Drive first came over, sales weren't great.
Right.
So Genesis, it was here and it landed, and it was like, oh, the graphics look great, but they're still packaging Altered Beast.
Yeah.
Which fantastic game. I love
That's an
Altered
excellent game.
Beast. But what they were realizing was that it wasn't selling in Bible Belt.
Right.
Because you can't convince parents, which is exactly what we were talking about before, can't get them to buy the game for their kids that features ghouls and ghosts and all these creatures.
Demonic possession. And,
Right. Yeah, they're so afraid of that
As
shit.
featured in games like Ghouls and Ghosts.
Right. So that's when they worked on Sonic, and they were like, friendly character. Let's put them in.
Anti-Mario.
Yeah. But in Japan, they actually were not thrilled about Sonic. They were like, no, we want to show off the graphics. We want to show this, the gorier, not the gorier necessarily, but the more detailed and,
Well, they called it high definition too. So
Yeah, at the time,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm trying
Which
to
is
achieve
hysterical.
that arcade
It was for the
visual
time,
that we
man.
had.
So he
Well,
tells
yeah.
this story about how he went to Japan and he's talking to them, and he says, we need to package Sonic with the console, and we need to start pushing it to the Midwest and people who, want a fun, friendly, lovable character. And he said he had only been CEO for like 2 or 3 months by that point. All these Japanese guys start muttering back and forth to each other. He doesn't understand a word of what they're saying. He's like having like the longest pregnant pause of his life, just waiting to find out. And then one of them turns to him and says, we don't agree with anything you just said. And he was like, well, that's it. I guess I'm fired. Like, this was fun for 3 months of being CEO.
yeah. Right.
And then they said, but we hired you to turn our company around, so we're going to try it. Fucking Sega took the biggest risk.
Holy shit.
Every single one of them didn't agree with the plan. They went with it anyway. And now we have Sonic.
But see, that's smart
Just
business
like
sense
Deadpool.
where you realize that it's like we were talking about with Netflix, where you put the right people in the right places and you just give them,
Yes.
like Kyle was saying, you risk it because you trust the people that you put in charge enough that they know that little thing better than you do.
Yeah.
A Japanese businessman is not going to know what Americans are going to like, but an American CEO of a Japanese company.
I don't know, guys. This is like Great Wall to me. This is like another white cut comes in and saves the day.
But it's the same. Like if you go into movies like
done.
Suicide Squad, David Ayers. I don't even know if that guy had ever read a comic.
But you look at Marvel, and they're like, here, James Gunn, do your thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
do
a
it.
perfect example
Russo
of somebody
brothers.
who knows, who has a passion
Yeah,
for
and
that
Marvel's
type
like,
of material.
here's a comic that nobody that even likes comics reads. Here, James Gunn, he's like, I'm going to make people love raccoons and trees. And,
And we do.
and people are like, we
Green
love
shit.
raccoons
Goddamn
and
right.
trees.
But why do they draw the line at Ant-Man? Like, why wouldn't they let? I can't remember who the original director is. Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why did they not let him take his vision on it? I wonder.
What I heard was basically that the way he was approaching the film was not going to fit thematically in with the other films. And when you have all these little jigsaw pieces of movies that fit into a bigger picture movie, you got to have some kind of thematic similarities between them.
Tonal, yeah,
And
consistency.
he was gonna, I don't know if Ant-Man was gonna punch a bad guy and coins would pop out like in Scott Pilgrim or what, but
Love that
but he was
movie.
gonna have it much more highly stylized from what I understand,
Right.
and it just wasn't gonna fit kind of stylistically with the other films.
Which makes sense. I mean, you're not going to bring Spielberg into one of those movies. You know what I mean? Like he's
you
going to
should.
Right.
It's-
It'd be an
I'm not
interesting
saying
twist.
he shouldn't, but from looking at the the puzzle, he's going to want to control it, but Marvel is a well-oiled machine. You know what I mean? They're going to control it.
I wonder though if the
They have a
problem
little
is,
too much control.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
a
so
little bit too much.
homogenous at this point though. Like every film I go to, I know I'm gonna enjoy the spectacle and I'm gonna enjoy the quips and I'm gonna walk away with no other satisfaction other than that. Like I never walk away from a Marvel movie thinking about the especially because these are based on Marvel comics, which are supposed to have. We're talking about Sega, aren't we? Whoops.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Sega is to Nintendo what Marvel was to DC. Carry on.
Wait, you're saying Sega is
Well
the
done.
Marvel in this one?
Yeah, they were the grittier, darker
Wait,
like
but who's
concept.
still
I
around?
don't
Marvel's
know.
still around and Nintendo's still around.
Yeah.
Sega's not. so-
Yeah, okay,
but
fair enough.
Is DC not around?
But I still have a Sega
might as well
Game
not be,
Gear.
right?
They started over like 4
A
times.
point in fact in that though is that I would say that Sega is DC in this circumstances,
go.
and Nintendo is Marvel, where Marvel is a lot more approachable. Sega's a little
Crushing.
bit darker. It's a really good parallel, much like in Marvel and DC and Sega and Nintendo. Sega went by the wayside, much like DC movies will in the not too distant future.
I think DC will always have a place because of Batman. I
That's
think they
it.
If they keep Ben
And
Affleck,
it's
That's it.
amazing.
he may
That's
not
it.
be
Batman's
around.
awesome. Fuck your Superman. Batman's awesome.
He's only the first of the superheroes. Whatever.
Well,
Fuck
Batman's the Sonic, where Sonic went on to Xbox and went on to everything else, and there's been a ton of Sonic
That's a
games
good point.
post Sega.
it. But I will
so-
say the thing about
let's
like,
just get Batman in Marvel Universe.
Oh my
and be done
God.
with it, and be done with it.
Nintendo never.
Doctor Strange can open one of those portals and then go
Jesus
into
Christ.
Gotham and get Batman.
you off.
Bring him
Well,
back.
then you bring Superman and Hulk in the situation, right?
fuck
it's
No,
already
you
been
leave
there.
everything else DC behind.
I like it.
I'm in the wrong. Look,
You're in the right place. You need a reality check. It's an intervention, Kyle.
You're gonna change my mind. Go to a camp and make me somebody different.
We're gonna make you play Superman 64 over and over again.
The only conversion therapy I believe in is DC conversion therapy. So now, like this is the Avengers cartoon.
You're gonna get
for
a-
like 18 hours straight.
You're gonna get a tweet by Pence now.
Yeah. We need to teach DC in schools.
Terrible. It'll be great. You'll love it. Like Nintendo, the one thing they didn't do is like they never went that. They stayed pretty much the same. Instead of
That's
like
true.
converting over to like a more violent, type of gameplay, they pretty much stayed the way they've
Yeah,
always
I mean,
been.
Nintendo's, like-
and it worked for them.
Nintendo's commercials have always been family-friendly
Yeah.
commercials from their inception to now. Like they are still family-oriented in everything they do.
We want to play.
Sega did a ton of ads that were directed at demographics. They did ads that were directed at teenagers, and ads that were directed at adults, and ads that were directed at children.
Well, and as it continued on, and Sega kind of went by the wayside, you still saw Nintendo as every game system was moving towards a more adult audience, being like, "No, fuck you. This is what we've done the whole time. We're not gonna change with the times because we have our audience and we're happy delivering because somebody needs to deliver these games to that audience, which is families and kids." They've always been very firmly in that. And there's a couple titles that Nintendo's released, don't get me wrong, like Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem for the GameCube is like one of my favorite survival horror
But
games
those
of
are
all
like
time.
standout
No More
examples.
Heroes.
Yeah,
and a lot of
exactly.
them are third-party like invitations. Like their best adult games are third-party games.
Yeah.
But Sega's appearance and the type of gameplay that they had going on led the way for systems like PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
To come out with the type of games that they had. I mean, if you look now, like Injustice, for example, probably never would be. I mean, that type of fighting game, it's still violent. DC oriented. I know you guys hate that, but it's still a great game.
I mean, Injustice.
It is.
I enjoy DC, and I will play Injustice and enjoy it. for sure.
So and even that type of gameplay would not be around had Sega not come out with the type of violence, as it were.
Well,
Yeah.
they based Injustice off the platform of Mortal Kombat.
Exactly.
And they started
but-
with DC versus Mortal Kombat.
Well, like we say, in Mortal Kombat, the Sega version was much more violent.
Absolutely.
So therefore, it was they took that, and it worked for them.
But
It still does.
I mean, well, did it though? Like, I mean, we're talking about the console war. Nintendo won the
Okay,
console
well,
war.
it,
right?
yeah.
it
Well-
stuck for the type of games, for
Yeah,
the type
yeah.
of
I mean,
genre
the
that
impact
came out.
lasted.
Yeah, the impact was full.
I'd say you look at it like music, for example, is that there are a lot of musicians that were popular in their time, but not as popular as like the legends. But they're the ones that influenced everyone that came after them way more than the person that was more popular. Like I think Sega has that statement. It's the Dead Boys of game consoles,
Yeah.
or where it's not as well known as like, the Ramones or something, but, Nintendo, but it made such a statement that it, like Kyle was saying, paved the way for PlayStation, paved the way for Xbox, where they understood that there was an adult audience, there was an older audience, that you could get more violent video games, you could get more adult focused video games.
You could make a game like Shadow the Hedgehog where Sonic uses guns.
Sonic didn't use guns. Shadow used a gun.
Fuck that
It's
game.
I see what you're
Sonic,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
Earthworm Jim. I mean,
Yeah.
that entire game, you're fucking.
I will
shooting
Was that
everything.
original? I know it was on
That's
both.
on
Was it
SNES
originally
too,
Sega?
though.
Yeah, but did it start on there, or did they go on Sega?
I don't know where
I
it
couldn't-
started.
I tried to research it, and I couldn't find a definitive.
It's a third
answer.
party, so they might have.
Yeah.
It might have been
I
a
think they-
simultaneous.
Yeah, I think it was
Like
simultaneous.
Midway, or
Regardless
something.
of the origin,
Yeah.
that is one of my favorite games of all
Oh
time.
my
I love that
It's
game.
so
Fucking
good.
love that game.
Yeah.
That needs to be a Netflix series.
They had a cartoon.
Yeah,
Get
yeah. The
Steve
cartoon was actually
Buscemi
great.
to voice Earthworm Jim.
I want the next Spider-Man
into that.
movie to be like Maximum Carnage, and I'll be happy.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my fucking god!
All
It's
I
the
want
best.
is Carnage
One of
in
the
my
best
life on the
game-
big screen.
But can they do Carnage on the big screen?
Yes,
Can
rated
they?
R. Fuck it, do Carnage.
But will it look good? Because it's gonna be CG at this
As
point.
long
Of
as
course.
Marvel does
And
everything they do.
we love a
from
tree
now
and a
on.
raccoon. They're fucking CG.
You're
Come
right.
on, man.
You're right.
But lovable is a lot easier to do than scary.
Scary.
And
Aside-
Carnage has to be scary.
Well, then just make Carnage lovable.
As I burn this
Joe
orphanage to the
eyes.
ground, I love you, Carnage. Yes.
Oh, Carnage,
He's
you
only going to be
rascal.
lovable to like the serial killers and sociopaths sitting
Yeah.
out there going, "What am I going to? I'm going to pull a gun out now." Just
Mike
pop people
Pence
off.
is going to love it.
I know he will. He's like, he's all about thinning the herd. Anyway,
Yeah, right.
No yeah, what a fucker.
You're the reason for the downfall of Sega. I blame you all.
Yeah.
Just gonna drop some more recently learned trivia.
Sure.
You talked about PlayStation being paved by Sega. The way being paved.
Right.
We almost had a Sega PlayStation.
Yep.
It was very close.
Sega CD.
Well, no, we had that. We had
Okay.
Sega CD. We had Sega Saturn.
That stupid SWAT
But that
game.
hardware.
We had
32X.
Dreamcast.
And 32X,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I had the
Dreamcast.
whole tower, by the way.
You know it was hardcore
Jeez.
because there was X in the name.
Yes, yeah.
X Gold.
I had the whole tower, and I kept it for, I don't know, maybe 2-3 months, and then something happened where I think it was did not do well on a homework assignment or something, but whatever it was, I got a bad grade or something. And our mom took it away from me, because I don't think you were even playing consoles by that point. But got it taken away, and then we had some great uncles. We had some shitty uncles in our family. It was taken away for 1 month. I could get it back after 1 month. So she goes to recover it at the end of my horrible limbo of not being able to play this giant tower of Sega.
Purgatory,
Personal hell.
Yeah, it was awful. And she goes to get it, and it's gone because one of our uncles has stolen it and sold it for drug money.
Oh, good.
Oh.
Fucking asshole.
The same thing
Dude.
happened 6 years later with me and my Dreamcast.
Yeah, and the same uncle.
Dreamcast
Well, the same
sucked
uncle.
anyway, you're not missing
partially.
anything.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
weird
starting
thing.
to see a form happening with this episode where we talk about something we're really excited about, and then
then
our
we're
dads
sad.
left, and then it's and then sold for drug money.
It's a thematic parallel to Sega, which started off great and then ends really sad.
I think we should just,
That is very true.
we should just finish this. This is all what built up to us liking Grand Theft Auto. That's just, I'll move that direction.
So back to Sega PlayStation.
Yeah. Right.
So that guy, Tom Kalinske is his name. I looked it up on my phone while we were
I
sitting
like
there.
Kaneki better.
I know. I'm sorry, but I had to be accurate.
I'm going with Kaneki Young.
Yeah.
Thank you, Google.
That dude, I mean, if there's a hero of the Sega story, he's the one, because you have this failing company. All their hardware is just underperforming because they're constantly coming late to the market. They're always a step behind Nintendo. Famicom in Japan, and then one of the SG 100s or whatever shows up, and it's just it's behind. And then Mega Drive, and then Genesis is what changed it, but not just because Genesis arrived and so big on the scene,
Right.
because of that guy's efforts. And then one of the things he wanted to do was he was just looking at other hardware developers. He's like, we have to be a step ahead. We've always been a step behind. Let's get ahead this time. So at the time, they were not preparing to launch, but preparing to work on the hardware for what would later become Sega CD and Sega Saturn. He was looking at other companies and saying, we should bring these guys on. So he found this company. It's just a bunch of guys who are we have this breakthrough. We want to bring this hardware to your company and have you make it the next console. And he took it to Japan, and this time they didn't trust him. And they turned him down.
You've done really well so far.
And they went
We're
to-
gonna say no.
Yeah, right?
I
This
think
is
I know where this is
definitely not going to
going.
be a system that overtakes us in the very near future and turns us into a non-console.
It wasn't the
company.
PlayStation. It was the N64. It's what eventually became the N64.
Wow, the 64-bit.
The 64, hey, that 64 was a badass console.
Hey,
It was.
So they turned that down,
Fuck
and he
that
was
shit
like,
up.
all right, hold on.
Star Fox.
I know a guy at Sony. Let's start talking. And they came up with this whole plan. They were like, let's build this new console together. All companies at that time were losing money on the hardware except for Nintendo. Nintendo's historically like the one company that sells the hardware, high enough. Mm-hmm. But they said, we'll split the hardware costs. So we're only losing half that cost each. And then we'll share on the software. We'll take all of our software at 100% profit. You'll take your software at 100% profit. We'll go in together on this thing. He brought that to Japan. They said no. Sony said, okay, and they made the PlayStation.
And that's why Sony teamed up with Marvel and gave them Spider-Man, because they learned their lesson from the last one.
I think that only happened because the leak.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, now your two biggest consoles is between Microsoft and Sony.
Right.
Yeah.
And Nintendo's still on the run, and Nintendo will always still be there, but the two major forefronts are Microsoft and Sony.
Well, you have Evolution. I mean, that's where the Wii came from.
I mean, I think the Switch has like
GameCube.
GameCube, it was a good console, but
Resident Evil's best version.
wasn't the-
Resident Evil 2's best
it
version.
wasn't at the forefront. It was kind of just a little bit here.
Yeah.
I mean, the GameCube had a lot of great games. Eternal
Yes, it did.
Darkness and Twilight Princess.
What was that
and
James Bond? They
so-
had like two James Bond ones that were really good.
Well, there's well, no, that was...
But it did.
was Nintendo console.
The Wii went in a different direction when it hit casual market. That obviously did really well, but also like it. Oh yeah, you're right. It also, I mean, for the last decade, I haven't been super excited about Nintendo games. And
No.
Breath of the Wild is the first one I've been excited about in a long time.
Yes, the new Zelda.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it looks amazing.
And I mean, but even then, obviously Nintendo's done well enough to get by. But where does this? I don't have a conclusion to this. I was just,
Well,
There's no
but these
conclusion
are
to any
things
of
that
this.
are true.
Yeah.
I can care from that. Part of what I see with friends that have kids now, or just like being around people with kids, is that the problem that Nintendo has is that they're still focusing on kid and family related products, but a lot of families are allowing their kids to play not kid appropriate
Amen.
material.
GTA 5.
So how hard is it to get your kid to sit down and play Mario Party when they can play Call of fucking Duty?
Right.
So
Well, I haven't gone that far, but my daughter's 5 and she loves Battlefront.
I was hoping you were going to say Call of Duty.
No, not Call. Although I have Call of Duty, she just
Yeah.
hasn't played it yet. But like Battlefront, which is
Star Wars keeps
yeah,
it a step away from the violence.
Yeah.
But when she's on the ground, she's on with the troops and she's blasting people away with
Yeah,
the blasters.
yeah.
She's like, he dropped quick.
That's some
and I'm just like, that's right.
My favorite thing about Battlefront is 100% the sound design. Like, you get in that game and hearing the blasters going by the
Yeah,
sides
right.
of your head is just like, ooh, it's got that old blaster sound effect.
But that was a big part of the Sega Genesis too, because they had a
Sounds,
separate
yeah.
sound card to govern the sound, and then they had to govern the rest of the game, the programming, which made the sound that much better. That's high definition stereo.
I know
sound.
that's true. The hardware is there. I always preferred sound design in Nintendo games.
Yeah.
I always felt like, I mean, maybe it's because it's like whimsy and fun in their games, but I just felt like Altered Beast, why is my yogurt? It came
Yeah.
out so scratchy and garbled, and that's an
You didn't
iconic
get a lot
sound.
of voice acting though in that time.
Yeah, that's
Shinobi
true.
on the
That's
other
true.
hand, Shinobi on the other hand, a very clean sound.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that comes down to more the talent behind Nintendo's
Yeah.
producers, music producers though, and not to say that there weren't some great musicians behind Sega, but Sega had technically the better sound hardware there for a minute, and I still think that, Nintendo just landed the more classic, iconic tunes.
I do. I agree.
I believe, or maybe you guys know, that Sega was basically huge in the arcade market,
Yeah.
like Golden Axe.
Sure.
I think Altered Beast was
I mean,
too,
that's what
wasn't
carried
it?
Altered
early
Beast
Genesis.
was an
Right.
arcade.
That's
Everything
what,
was
that
more trivia.
because they wanted to shrink that down to the home version,
I
right?
want to say that Sega created the Revolution X starring Aerosmith.
Oh, did they?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Oh,
What
my.
a great game.
Don't
Don't do drugs, kids.
Oh my god! You shot CDs at people as your grenade launcher.
Yes.
Yeah. God damn.
Was Sega the company that made that Michael Jackson game?
I
Yeah,
think
they
so.
did.
Yeah,
They
the
did.
Moonwalker, yeah.
Where it's like he saves the kids instead of giving
Raping
them
them.
wine.
Yeah.
Well,
and-
I mean, he's
and-
got to save them to bring them back home.
Yeah, right.
They also started John Madden football, so
Yeah.
in the way now, which has
Well, they-
grown into Madden.
The EA still owned it back then, I
Right.
think, didn't they? They just
Yeah.
were the host for it. They were the console
Exactly.
that EA chose.
Like-
Well, I think the major difference between Nintendo and Sega Genesis as far as what titles came out and why there's a difference on titles is that Sega was much more willing to work with third-party games gaming developers than Nintendo, which still to this day they're a little bit better than they were, but they are still very much in-house with a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because it carries them though. I mean, they don't.
It does.
They don't. I
They
wouldn't
don't share
say
anymore.
they're exploding. Like I feel like the PS4 has really taken off for like third-party titles that they've had lately. But I don't remember the last time anybody was like going crazy over a Nintendo third-party title.
Yeah.
No.
Well, because most of the third parties they get nowadays are stuff that you can get on the other systems as well, or some version of it maybe.
Well, hence that brought the Nintendo Classic out. You know what I mean? Like that probably drove the need for like, hey, well, we can't go forward right now. Let's go backwards until we have a better product.
Even
Sega did that as well. They brought out a mini console.
Yeah, they
But it's
did.
not HD.
No.
So it's
Well, which is ironic, right?
Yeah, right. We have HD graphics.
It says high
What's-
definition.
yeah. What's crazy is how good a retro console can look in HD though. Like,
Oh,
those
yeah.
colors
Oh,
can
yeah.
pop
Oh,
so
the Nintendo
amazingly
one?
well.
Yeah.
Well, I have I have a Link to the Past, just like on my Wii, but it's got
Yeah.
the HD cord.
Yeah.
And it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Absolutely makes a big difference. What were you gonna say, Joe?
Oh, I was gonna say that, like going on nostalgia stuff. Even Pokemon Go shows just how much power like Nintendo has to like accumulate potential.
Just put
buyers.
out a mediocre game that still gets everybody excited.
They're the Disney of video game worlds in a sense, and the way they create
Yep.
characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovable characters.
They are the Marvel. I was
Disney-
wrong.
Disney, yeah.
Yes, you were, sir.
and of course, at that moment, fucking Hobbit walks out. You son of a bitch.
Well, I mean, what are some of the games that made us love Sega so much? Like that.
Yeah.
or,
So Sonic's an obvious one.
Yeah.
Sonic will always be one of the most fun games to play.
Right.
Forever, man. You go back and play 1 or 2, it's whatever.
I have 2 Golden Axe because
Yes.
it's still
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Still one of my favorite games, and actually a random Afterburner. You remember that game?
Yeah, definitely.
Because
Yeah.
I love anything
jet-
flight simulator.
yeah.
It was a lot like Top Gun.
Right.
I think Top Gun was Sega. Remember the
Was
Top Gun video game that came out?
I think it might have been.
Was
yeah.
it Sega? Yes,
I
they
don't
did that
remember
really
Sega.
well because it was hard to do that in the 8-bit. 16-bit looked 10 times better at that time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I would say those 2 games are probably my favorite, and then Maximum Carnage.
Maximum
Yes.
Carnage is absolutely one of my
because it's a-
favorites.
it's a beautiful game.
On the Super Nintendo. We actually talked about that a little bit
Yeah, on our-
yesterday.
yeah.
I always played it on the Sega.
It looks-
I liked it better on Sega. I never played it on the Nintendo.
It looks pretty much the
console.
same side by side. I watched most of the gameplay.
Yeah,
it looks
it's just
pretty much
brighter on the
and it's
Sega
just
somehow.
Different things in the background. Like they had streetlights on the NES version versus no streetlights on the Sega version.
I'm sure there were. I'm sure there
that.
were also the hidden icons. That in different
You
spots.
saw like a Sega sign somewhere over here.
Right,
Right.
yeah,
Like,
that
yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah.
But I enjoyed the shit out of it.
The game and the story though had like me so captivated because I was
Absolutely.
Good.
all of us here were comic kids, and so like it took comics from being like just walk down the street and beat them up, which still had that, and that's what you wanted in a video game.
Yeah.
But they brought in this super detailed story that touched on characters that were pretty deep cuts for a video game as
And
well.
violent as fuck.
Yeah,
like Streets of Rage. It was the same gameplay.
Yeah.
The exact same gameplay.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, you bring in Carnage. Like Venom, it was a lot of violence and it was, a lot of aggression. It was a dark character. But when they did Carnage, it was a whole other level of just fucked.
I do
Like,
I do love the
in
fact
the comics and bring
Yes,
that
definitely.
into the game was
Right.
Yeah,
I
it was
think
a big
really
jump.
step. Yeah.
I will say that what I loved about Venom was that his first appearance that you could play him in that game was outside during the day, walking in front of a fucking bank.
Yeah, right.
Like, of all the
Just
places
casually.
for Venom just be like strolling down the streets at during the daytime in front of a bank, like I'm just gonna beat you guys up.
Yeah,
But no, it's like
Yeah.
weird,
Go
'cause you
for
have
a
this
walk.
weird- he's like they do it where he's like hunched over and he's like
Yeah,
walking in front of this bank. It's fucking great.
but that game included the Fantastic Four. It had Daredevil. I
Yep.
think it had Black. What's her name?
Black Widow.
Black Widow. Thank you.
That's what I wish Sega was still out because if they could do a Daredevil game now based off of the Netflix series,
Oh,
I feel like
shit.
they would crush it. Someone needs to do that.
Yeah.
Whoever's out now, hey guys.
I mean, Sega is around making software still.
Yeah.
Like they could do something
like,
like
I tell you
that.
what I
how would
want,
you not
though.
love to play a Daredevil game based off the Netflix?
Oh,
series?
no
The funny
shit.
thing
Right?
is,
Like,
what I want is a scene like my favorite scene in all of the Daredevil Netflix series is him and Punisher talking on the roof for an episode, and I
Yeah.
just want like a branching dialogue of like superhero philosophy argument, like
where
here's
you
why
get
can't do
to
this.
choose
yeah,
like
yeah,
in
yeah.
Is
Mass
that where he
Effect or
names them
something.
Red?
Oh,
that'd be
yeah.
a great. That would be a great part of the
I'd
game.
be into it. Yeah,
You know?
I'd absolutely be into
It'd be
it.
like Indigo Prophecy, but with Daredevil, where it's just dialogue. Like the
Well, no,
entire
but you would
game.
change the outcome of the game based
Actually,
off that one level. or that
Telltale
one
would be
skin.
I was
a
gonna
perfect
say-
choice for Daredevil.
Yeah,
actually.
Telltale would be good.
You know, that brings into it that games now, unlike before, which we'll go into, like, as you know, like they're harder than the ones now, is because they're majority cinematic. You know, that's like we're
I don't
gonna
know if it's,
show
I don't know if
how-
it's majority because there's such a huge indie game market,
Well,
but all the AAA titles are.
Well,
yes,
okay.
definitely.
I guess your main players,
Yeah.
are very cinematic. You know, there's 10, 15-minute stretches of just movie.
I love Uncharted, but it is like even when you're playing it,
Yes.
it's cinematic like movie.
When I think that, and we'll discuss this a little more when we get into, and I think this is good second half, the difficulty levels of games and
Yes.
everything. But part of it is that you didn't really have cinematic games back in the Nintendo, SNES and Genesis era. This is kind of the next movement after arcade, or still in the arcade era, where there was.
Yeah.
They created the games, and this is why there were games that were nearly impossible to beat, because they were based on arcade, which you weren't supposed to beat.
Right.
You were supposed to plug as many quarters as possible
Exactly.
into
Keep
that
feeding
thing.
it. Yeah.
I mean, that was part of the reason Sonic came, was because the arcade games didn't translate as well into home because they were repetitive, and you realized if you're not needing to pay coins, you can just play it infinitely, and then you're like, oh, this is the same thing or whatever again. Not a huge knock against Golden Axe. It was a
Sure,
great game,
sure.
but
Right.
it doesn't play for a long period of time
No,
as well
absolutely
as say,
not.
Sonic does.
But,
Yeah.
but then what's the excuse for Friday the 13th?
On NES.
Yes.
Oh man.
That game
That's
is
just-
a fucking nightmare, man.
That's just bad design, I think.
Yeah.
Like, there's no answer
There
for
was
that.
nothing
There's
fun
no-
about that game, man.
I love that game for nostalgia reasons. Like,
Yeah.
I
How angry
tried.
you got?
Well, yeah, I mean, it did frustrate the hell out of you. And, like, I was a little kid trying to beat that game so hard. I never made any good
I
progress.
was a grown-ass man trying
Yeah,
to beat that
yeah.
I
game.
think
This
that
was
just goes
just
into
a few years
like
ago.
how many games based on movies are good.
Very few.
Very,
Like,
Very
few.
very
I think the
few.
new one that's getting ready to come out is going to rock the fuck out.
Yeah, but that's also
Okay.
an indie title too.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
had mentioned when you had went out for a moment was Top Gun.
I have it right over there on Nintendo.
Surprisingly, a good fucking
Yeah, but that
game.
was basically just a flight simulator before flight simulators
Right.
were like readily available on PC. Like,
true. But Sega.
So this ties into one of my favorite Sega games, but I first played it on Nintendo, and this is based off a movie. It was fucking Batman. That was based off Tim Burton's
Yeah,
Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Batman
Right.
was
And
great.
Now, the Sega difference with the Nintendo difference was in the Sega one, Batman actually pushes the Joker into the vat
Right.
at the end of the first level.
Oh, nice.
Nintendo didn't do that because they were family friendly.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the Sega one, you get to actually fly the bat plane,
Batwing, yeah.
Batwing, and you get to drive the Batmobile. Where in Nintendo, you didn't get, because of the graphics, like you mentioned with Top Gun, the flight simulation, because like in the
But
in the Sega
Afterburner
one,
had better graphics.
in the second one, when they at the last one of the last levels before the church level, when you're stopping the parade and getting the balloons, you're flying the Batwing.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Which is pretty cool. But in the regular Nintendo one, you didn't get to do half that shit. So I mean, the Nintendo one was fun, but when they stepped it up to Sega, the Super Nintendo didn't get that.
and that was actually weirdly faithful to the movie too.
It was very faithful
yeah,
to the
like
movie.
super
Like,
like
to a
step
90s
to
Tim
step.
Burton
Yeah,
Batman
yeah,
movie,
very
which is
fucking faithful.
fairly translatable to video game, I would say, but Tim Burton type stuff. Yeah.
It would make sense.
What I
mean,
remember, and I think it came out for both titles, but the Alien 3 video game.
Oh, yeah.
that was
yeah.
had nothing to do with the plot line. You were just going through different levels, and they were like eggs that were like set out every like 15 paces, and they
Yeah.
would open up, and then little like facehuggers would crawl at you, and you have to shoot them. And then if you lost, and I mean, of course they did, even though this was from Aliens. But when you lost, it went game over, man.
Oh,
Game
nice.
over. Of course, you have to.
she
You
didn't
have
even
to.
fall into a thing of like molten metal. You know, if you're gonna end a game, at least you could end the game on that note.
Yeah, I love the
For a
level
shitty
of
movie.
Alien 3
Yeah.
video game where a bunch of bald dudes try to rape Ripley. Like that was pretty
Dude, right?
pretty intense.
shit.
I was
Hey,
like,
just
this is,
saying.
this is a children's game. Holy shit. You
We
know?
don't
You
feel
can't make
the
an
family.
Aliens game and call it a children's game.
I really liked Aladdin as a movie to
Yes.
video game
Lion King,
translation.
Lion King as well was actually
Yes,
quite
was
well
it?
done.
Lion King was
That was a
legit,
Sega
yeah.
title.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever played the Lion King one.
I
It
played
was
a
a really
little
good
bit.
platformer.
That was
It's-
equally as fucking hard too.
The herd, we like in the movie,
Oh,
was the
yeah,
herd
now
was
I do
particularly
recall.
Well, not
pain
3D,
in
but
the-
you were facing forward.
exactly.
Yeah.
That was a pain in the ass.
Now, with Aladdin, because I think most of us here have played it, have all
oh
of us
yeah,
played
oh
it.
yeah.
But on different, we were talking, some of
Different
us have played on
consoles.
I
different
think I've
consoles.
only
Super
played it on
Nintendo.
Super
But
Nintendo.
when you're trying to get out of the cave, is like the
Fucking
hardest
lava,
shit
man.
ever. And
Yeah.
I think you end up in like a fucking dungeon after that. I'm like, I just gotta have a fucking game with lava. Like, now I'm in a fucking dungeon. This is bullshit.
That was one of those games
I
that I
want to
played.
make out with the princess and hang out with the genie, and I'm stuck with lava and fucking dungeons and shit.
And I got like half of energy bar.
Like it's fucking
Apu's
stupid.
dead. No, not really.
He straight up killed him, man.
It's a family game.
They want to go real adult. You see Apu in the corner, like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, I'm not doing this shit.
No,
I'm
there's
out.
like a
I'm
cutscene
done.
between levels, and it's Jafar just like viciously stabbing the shit out of Apu, like, and he's been dead for like 4 minutes, and he's still like just.
Like, dude, how about at the end of the game, you just see like Aladdin roasting Iago over spit, like
And that's why the Genesis version was so much more hardcore. It had all that
See,
shit.
nowadays you'd have the full cinematic version of him fucking plucking the feathers off and
No
chopping
shit,
his
right?
head down. Yeah. Like, let's show the whole thing.
God of War Aladdin.
Aladdin, yes.
No, but in like
Aladdin
Fable,
Bloodlines.
in Fable, all the characters after that would start calling Aladdin Chicken Plucker.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, good times.
Chicken fucker.
What was the Castlevania title that was Sega only?
3.
Bloodlines?
Bloodlines, yeah.
Yeah, Bloodlines.
Yeah,
That was
Bloodlines.
the third.
No, third
Fourth.
was when you played his son.
Right.
No.
And 1 and
Alucard
2
or
specifically.
Alucard is
Alucard.
Symphony of
Alucard.
Night on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Right.
This one was not the Belmonts. It was the Texan guy.
It was a daughter.
No, there's two characters in Bloodlines. You played the Texan guy, and you played the dude with the big, like.
But the
skirt
villain
and
was the
giant
daughter of
That's
mace
right.
thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The villain was Dracula's daughter, right? Wasn't that like who you were?
That's Alucard in the Symphony of the Night. I
Yeah.
think
He's
he's a guy,
Alucard's
but
the son, yeah.
right. I don't know.
No,
Maybe.
I don't remember the villain.
Which,
of
by the way,
Bloodlines.
I think they
don't know
stole
if I
that
ever
from
beat it.
Monster Squad. Just say it.
You think
Alucard-
everything was stolen from
everything
Monster
goes back to
Squad?
Alucard, Dracula backwards. If you've seen it, you know what
Wolfman's
I'm talking
got
about.
nards.
Exactly.
Did
you
you
know
not
what I'm
see-
talking about. They were like, I fucking love that. Let's put it in the game.
Did you not see the old black and white movie, Son of Dracula, where his name was Count Alucard? So maybe they all stole it from
Right.
that. Fuck you.
It keeps going back. Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, then nothing's original.
The
That's
Bible
Oh
was
true.
shit,
Monster
Sherlock.
It's all recycled.
Well, we're about on break time, so we're gonna take a short breather. For all those watching, we're gonna get back here at 9:30. So we're gonna take a breather. We're gonna come back at 9:30. So thank you guys for watching the first half. We'll be back in about 45 minutes, I guess.
More
Yeah,
dro-
we plugged this out real quick.
Yeah.
Like,
We're
we're
plugging
doing really well.
We're plugging it hard.
I mean, I was
Yeah.
plugged when I started, so
He's Nick is plugging himself in front of all these guys right
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So,
Constant plug.
I'm plugging myself under the table.
so
That's
thank
my
you all
foot.
for watching. We're going to be back at 9:30, so join us then, and we'll get into more. Our favorite games, definitely. We're going to get into that, and
yes.
also a little bit about the downfall.
More of our favorite games.
More of our favorite games, and the downfall of Sega as well. So stick around. We'll be right back. Woo!
damn, I really want to play Castlevania now.
I know.
Oh, shit, dude.
Actually, I want to go back.
Hey guys, thank you for watching the GUI podcast. This is Nick from Instant Replay Live. I get plugged here a lot, and I'm being allowed to do it myself this time. I'm going to plug myself as much as I can. You can check out our Twitter at INST Replay Live. I'm going to plug myself again. I'm plugging myself in front of all these guys right here. You can find us on YouTube if you search for Instant Replay Live, or youtube.com/c/Instant Replay Live, or at instantReplayLive.com. We do video games, we do tabletop role-playing games, and we do reviews and all kinds of other stuff. So check us out.
Todsky from the YMN podcast. Big fans of Geeks Under the Influence. Talk about all the same shit, so definitely check us out. YMNpodcast.com.
This is Mike the Hobbit, direct from Fallout on a trivia night, telling you to come here every first and third Monday for trivia between 8 and 10, 25-cent wings, drink specials, prizes, and tons of really inappropriate trivia. It's a lot of fun. Do you guys agree? Definitely come out and enjoy trivia every first and third Monday at Fallout. In addition to Fallout, Geeks Under the Influence takes over Wonderland on the corner of 18th and Main Street for Geeks Under the Influence trivia, ridiculous trivia, goofy music, great food, cheap drinks. 1727 East Main. Come and check us out 8 to 10 every second and fourth Tuesday.
Paid for it? I didn't.
No, I had credits to Amazon Prime where I had some like.
Right, but if you didn't have credits, you would have paid for it. So
Well, you know, whatever. Tomatoes.
Just saying.
I'm just
It's-
saying. I watched.
today, I got-
You watched it for free. I watched it for free.
and today I got Moana because Skylar.
Well,
And,
I want to see that.
yeah,
First
I
off,
do want to see it.
First off,
Yeah.
Moana is awesome. I took my daughter to see it, and I found myself more intrigued than she did.
It's like every Disney movie, dude. It's the same thing.
I don't know about every Disney movie,
Most
but
Disney
a good
movies.
portion of the ones coming out, like Finding Dory, I was like, and my
Fuck
daughter's
that
like,
movie, man.
Daddy, and I'm like, shh.
We talked
Dude,
about it
that
on the
movie was not
Pixar
good.
episode, one of
Finding
the
Dory
last
was
ones we
good.
released,
No, it
and
was not.
there was definitely a difference in opinion on Finding Dory.
I thought I loved Finding Dory.
I would
I
never
thought it was
watch that
great.
again.
I don't have the interest. Honestly.
Yeah, I couldn't give it the
I
time.
like
not
Finding
s-
Nemo. I just
yeah.
don't have the interest. In
I'm
the
not
sequel.
saying it is Finding Nemo. It's a better Finding Nemo is a better movie. Plus, it was the predecessor. But Finding Dory, for it to come out as late as it did, it was really good. It was really well done.
Yeah, it's drawn out. Could have been shorter.
Whatever.
Like half an hour shorter.
Well, when you watch Moana, you'll be really impressed. Like
I've heard nothing but good things
the
about Moana.
music is absolutely
and
gorgeous
I
in
got
it.
the what's that? The other one up for Oscars. I got Moonlight. I want to watch that.
I haven't
probably
watched
this
that, but
weekend.
I do want to
That's-
see that.
Feels
I do want to
Train.
see that.
I need to
yeah.
see that in Manchester by the Sea.
Also,
I
a
do wanna
Feels
see that.
Train.
And I also am apparently supposed to watch La La Land.
It
I've
is
not
good,
yet.
dude. Me
I
and
don't
Rachel,
know if I can do it.
Rachel and I went. It's good.
You really?
Rachel and I went and saw it. It was good.
I mean, Ryan
It's not
Gosling.
done like a traditional musical.
No.
It has the same setup as a traditional musical,
Right.
but the way they go about the songs and the dance numbers and all that stuff and the storyline, it's not
I
traditional.
don't know. He
musical.
should have got nominated for The Nice Guys.
Nothing
Yeah, no
has
shit.
really touched me like a musical, like the video game Michael Jackson Moonwalker.
Yes.
and pun is
What?
intended.
In which?
in
Yeah,
that.
I was gonna say. In which way did it touch you? I started growing hair.
Circle on the drawing where it touched you.
It's like only
I
me,
got some feeling.
Only me and Corey Feldman know. But yeah,
This is
we're
why
on-
you wear that one glove every now and then.
exactly.
I think Macaulay Culkin, because I don't think he was in a Corey Feldman was in a Michael Jackson video.
They were probably
No, but
all
they were
doing
buddies.
it together.
He used to hang out all the time on the Neverland Ranch back in the day.
They were molestation buddies.
Yeah.
It's like me and Bubbles got real close. What?
Yeah. Michael Jackson liked to call them the Frog Brothers. So
Where's he gonna put that banana?
Guess who was on top?
Oh,
all right, so we're back for the second half of Geeks Under the Influence.
sigh.
We spent a few minutes outside drinking more, hanging out, talking about, well, mainly the X-Men, really. Like we didn't spend a whole lot of time on Sega. But thank you guys for joining us for the second half. We are going to get into what we are drinking. Mr. Lowdown is pouring some booze here for us.
This is yours.
Before we continue on with what we're drinking, our regular thing, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. If you notice, we did not have the sponsor break at the beginning because we just wanted to get right into it. But I want to get into a slight, quick unboxing of the newest Loot Crate. Just came out recently. This was, oh God, what was the name of this one? Build. Build was this one. A fantastic Power Rangers t-shirt.
Yes.
There's a Power Ranger Sega game.
My God, can I buy that from you?
It
Give it
was.
to my daughter.
Was that the one where you transform like in between boss fights? Like you
Yeah,
start
I
off
think
like
you're in
This-
like your normal
This
suit.
is the Megazord. This is the OG Megazord.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it's
that-
not-
From the first season.
Yes.
Megazord.
This
Yeah.
is
Well,
not the
first and
Power
second.
Rangers, like new Power
the Green
Rangers
Ranger
t-shirt.
came
This
in.
is like the old school
3 was
Power
Neo.
Rangers. The next one is what I'm the most
Zeo.
excited about on this box.
was Zeo.
It is a Lego Batman food container.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Where-
showed that in the
where
ads
the-
for it.
Yeah, the top screws off, and you can just keep shit in there. They say food container. I tried to fit an onion in there that was half chopped. Did not fit. So this is for weed.
I was gonna say.
the exact same thing.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was
This is
designed for.
definitely for weed.
It's probably very airtight.
Yeah, no, it's very airtight.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
that's
is good to
it.
go. So this is your Lego Batman weed container.
Make sure to open it
Awesome.
up outside.
Our opinion. Our opinion.
Or a lot of Coke.
There's
Maybe.
also a
Lots and lots of
Benny
Coke.
from the Lego movie, Lego collection thing. So
It's a
Benny
Dimensions
ship.
thing actually too. So you can
Oh yeah.
play the video
oh,
game
you
with
can play
that.
the video game with this. So,
Yeah.
like talk about like thematic to,
Right, yeah.
video game.
Even though Sega doesn't have shit to do with it.
no, not at all.
And by the way, that's a good give because like that's probably like $30 at a store, and
Probably.
you get it just from having a
That's-
subscription.
That's the thing with Loot Crate is like the T-shirt alone. You get a T-shirt minimum $10 on like the T-shirt a day website. So let's say 10 out of what you spent on the box. Then Legos, this is going to cost $10 on its own. So there's 20. So everything else after that is just fucking bonus
Hell
at
yeah.
that point. We've got some Tetris magnets.
nice. Now is that to show the movies coming out? You know, the
Uh,
1, 2,
we
and 3.
We will not talk about the Tetris movies.
They're coming
but
out with a trilogy of Tetris movies, apparently.
They're legit,
it
like
needs
actually
3 movies.
thicker magnets. Do not the stupid, like really thin magnets. They're pretty good quality.
Do they all separate?
They do. Yeah, so you can actually create a Tetris on your
Just
fridge.
sliding
That sounds
around
like a
on you.
really good drunk game.
And then the
Or drinking
original
game.
Megazord button.
That's
as well.
awesome.
All right, give me that.
Real quick,
Yeah.
I
Just,
gotta
just
ask,
give me that. I'm giving it to my daughter.
what are you
Yeah,
guys'
that's fair.
thoughts on the Power Rangers movie coming out?
I am excited. I want to
I'm
see
not. I'm not.
Let me play. Look, I am a massive season 1 and 2 of Power Rangers. I had every poster. I had every toy. I met both the Red and Green Ranger in person, and got autographs. Like,
it. You have something against black?
what's that? He just wasn't there.
He's going to be at the one this summer.
I know. I want to go. I want to go meet him because. But thinking about that and looking at this new movie, I've always wanted them to be represented in a more
Gritty.
not gritty, because it's not really all that gritty. It's just modernized. It's not like they went Dark Knight with it. They might have ass in the trailer. Guy says kicking, whatever, says a bad word, but really what you're doing is you're making them a little more powerful, because you can do that with special effects, and you're making their Zords not look like toys.
Your mom can do that with special.
Basically, Americanized.
Mom,
it.
There
goes to
will
college.
still be toys
It's-
for those Zords.
No. What I'm saying is
On
they
the
don't
show.
look like you don't go and pull
Right.
one off the shelf
Right.
and it looks like the one in the movie.
That's almost another charm for me.
I mean,
though.
it definitely has
I
the
agree.
modern
Americanized
teens with
it.
attitude
Yeah,
level
absolutely.
as well.
But what I'm
like-
excited is to see what they do with the characters, and Bryan Cranston and Alpha 5, because Alpha 5, he was always that. He was just always that character.
I just need to hear him go
Yeah.
once. Ay ay ay.
Oh, they'll
He'd
work
be
it
like,
out.
go, Power Rangers! And like they're in trouble. It's like, you can do it.
But did you see Alpha 5 in the new movie? He looks fucking terrible. He
He's
looks.
scary as
he
fuck.
I
looks
love the way he looks.
He looks like a Michael Bay Transformer that
Everything does.
that lives in the BioShock world.
Look,
Oh, nice.
He's got long, gangly arms. He's
It's
got a
creepy
big
as
fucking
shit.
round saucer head. They kept the basic shape, but they made it to where he looked like he could actually move more.
But
In
not
the
a dude in a
show,
suit?
right? In the show was obviously a guy in the suit.
Well, I mean,
You're
so
not
they
gonna
have
do
a
that.
budget,
Right,
But,
exactly.
But is their aesthetic? I can't stand the way any of this shit looks.
I don't know. I love the suit because I'm very big on anything space. Look, any pictures of space or galaxies. But if you look in their suits,
You need that Benny in space. Oh, in space.
the center of their chest is like
Rocket
it's
ship.
showing a galaxy. The what you can see through the. I love the look of that.
So they're wearing the collar charm from Men in Black. that's where all their powers
Does it
come
light up
from.
like Green Lantern?
But you can see the universe.
The galaxy is in Orion's belt.
in Blackest Day.
I don't know. I think
Or
the
Brightest
movie is
Day,
probably going to
Darkest
be really
Night.
good. I don't. It looks like they pulled this together knowing exactly what it was, and what they did was they put a bigger budget and they made it look cooler. But I think they're going to keep probably the heart of it.
And see, the thing is,
That's what I'm worried about.
We know that Kyle has terrible opinions, so you can guarantee this movie is going to turn into another Fantastic Four movie.
All right, when this turns out to be, if it's bad, I'll admit 100% it is. But if it turns
Just
out
like
to
you
be good,
admitted Batman v Superman was terrible.
I
we were
did
like,
admit
it's
that.
not as
It-
good as I
it
expected.
wasn't an
I admitted
admission.
that on mic.
I will say
It wasn't an admission.
Whatever.
I fully expected those. Like I saw Power Rangers. Okay, this is gonna be terrible. I watched the trailer and I just thought that trailer was better than it had any right to be. Especially after when the costumes
Yeah.
were revealed to
so
me.
fundamentally disagree.
When the costumes were revealed to me, I thought they looked awful. To be honest, I still don't necessarily like the costumes. I'm still very against heavy CG.
And I don't know how I
film
feel
movies,
about
but-
wanting to fuck Rita Repulsa.
Actually, I'm kind
not
of okay with
okay.
it.
I may wanted to do that as a kid, but I was
love-
weird. So
I think Elizabeth Banks is her name.
yeah.
I'm kind of okay with her. As
Like
Rita
old school
Repulsa.
Rita
those
Repulsa
horns.
could make me fucking like steam dumplings all day long, but I wouldn't want to fuck her. Like I'd want to hang out with her kid.
Different
and, like,
story
play,
with Zed,
and
though.
play Sega Genesis. To tie
they
it back
had-
in.
Zed, you wanna fuck.
if they bring Zed in that like a post credit scene, assuming
God,
the
yeah.
movie's good, I'm just gonna all over the place.
I feel like honestly, I do want to see it because I did love the Power Rangers, but I feel like I'm gonna see it and then I'm like, yeah, the original movie was better.
All
I have news. You know what I mean?
Ivan
Like, it's gonna be, it was probably gonna be better.
Wait, you're talking about Ivan News or Apocalypse?
Ivan News.
They're interchangeable. So
Well, Apocalypse was after.
We got to get
It
back
was
on
whatever, they still look the
on
same.
track a little bit, but we are sponsored by Loot Crate, so that's what happened last month. This month is Primal, which has stuff from X-Men, Overwatch, and Predator. So go to GUIPodcast.com and go through the link on our sponsors page. And if you go through that link and you save $3 on your first crate, and it gives us a little bit of cash as well. So it's a way to support this podcast and also get these amazing crates at the same time. I'm telling you, I've been doing this well before we did the podcast, and every crate has been fantastic. So give it a shot. I also want to give one shout out to amzn.to. They were our first major sponsors on this podcast. If you go to the main page of GUIpodcast.com, click on the Amazon affiliate link. Anything that you purchase through that link, we get a little bit of a cut. So it's just bookmark it. Bookmark the link after you go through the link, and then just go to Amazon through that link, and everything you buy, we get some money. It's a way to support the podcast, and you don't spend any money on Patreon pages or anything like that. You know, you can support us and buy everybody's shopping Amazon.
It's already happening.
It's already happening.
We are approaching the oneness.
Just take that one extra step.
You're already doing it. So that way you're buying it. It's not any more expensive, and you're helping out this podcast at the same time. So do it. Just go to GUIpodcast.com. And on to what we're drinking.
Now to our drinking problems.
For some of our regular listeners, this is one of their favorite parts of the podcast, which I don't understand. But more power to you. In honor of a game that I'm sure we will talk about on the second half, we didn't even touch on the first half. One of my favorite Sega Genesis games of all time, Road Rash.
Oh, yes.
I did the Satan's Pony Imperial. It's Imperial Satan's Pony.
It's delicious.
What would Satan's Pony look like? Is it on there?
It looks like a motorcycle.
Oh, that's it. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a pony. That's cute.
It's
I've
an
seen it.
old term for a motorcycle.
Seems so hostile. I don't need to see it again.
He's from Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just come
Now
from
I'm
the
angry. It's
territory.
cool.
It's natural.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's barrel-aged Satan's Pony, which is from South Street Brewing Company, I believe so.
East Coast local bitches.
Has, I think, been bought out by
Devil's Backbone.
Devil's Backbone.
No.
So
Was that or Blue Mountain? Which one was it?
I'm not sure anymore.
Mountain.
Google it,
Blue
bitch.
Mountain.
Is it Blue Mountain?
Yeah, it was
No,
Blue
you're
Mountain.
correct. Yeah,
Blue
it
Mountain.
is Blue Mountain.
I know I'm correct. That's why I said it.
I'm agreeing with you.
Jersey.
Don't be so angry when I agree with you.
Capital
You-
fucking
Don't tell me when to be angry.
Yeah, that's not your choice.
But the Satan's Pony normally is fantastic. I have not tried their barrel aged.
That shit's good.
But it is, what's the ABV on
It's
this?
not a dick kicker. No. You brought the weak sauce beer. It's cool.
It doesn't knock my dick in the dirt. I'll tell
it's
you that much.
9.1, so it's definitely not a slouch.
Woo.
It has a little something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that is yet.
Yeah, the barrel aging smooths it out a little bit more than the
Right.
regular.
It's
Satan's
really
Pony.
good.
It gives it a lot more viscosity, I guess, to it. The mouthfeel is different.
Viscosity?
Fuck off.
So you like it thicker? Is that what you're saying?
I like it thicker. Yeah.
You like it thick and salty.
That's good. I really like that.
Thank you for that.
You just got to push through. That's all you can do. Yeah.
Are we talking about plugs again? Is that what
Yeah. Second half is normally when we turn into 8-year-olds and we're like,
Right, yeah.
do.
That's just still funny, though.
I mean, it got us all laughing, actually. That's the real shame of...
Does anybody have
That shit's still funny.
Does anybody have a can we can fart into? And
Right? Farts are fucking funny.
see if we
Did
can
you just make a Jack reference?
I did.
Jesus Christ. And I'm more
We
upset
lo-
with myself that I got the reference immediately.
We
Jack
lo-
wasn't horrible.
We love you, Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying Jack
yeah.
wasn't horrible.
God damn it. All right, this is delightful.
This is very good.
Yeah, I'm very
glad
much.
someone finally bought it because I've looked at it the last few weeks, but this actually fits, because he still looks for episode-specific beers. I don't give a fuck.
Obviously.
I still aim for that. With video games, it's actually really hard to find
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
a
it is.
beer that's thematic to it. And, I mean, even though there's so many video games, it's a hard pull.
It's not like a Hedgehog brown ale or something.
That would be more for Ron Jeremy than...
Oh, yeah, okay. Well done.
And it would call it the Hedgehog Brown Eye is what it'd be called. But Brown IPA. I would not drink that beer.
That sounds like a very dark brown ale.
No, it is very thick and viscous, so you might like it actually.
Oh, that's true.
And then you come out next year with the Ron the Hedgehog bleached brown.
He bleached his asshole.
That's the one he sprinkles a little salt on. You know, he's got to keep it close.
The bleach blonde brown.
Ugh, okay.
Okay.
God.
All right.
So,
It can only go so far down that
so we're
path.
gonna move from
I'm just
assholes.
picturing Ron Jeremy listening to the episode and just
So what
like
else are you
writing the
drinking?
shit down.
There's just someone else drinking.
All right,
good
so
idea.
besides that, I'm drinking the High Life because I like to drink cheaply and well at the same time. Next
cheap
to me on
date.
my left, Lowdown, you brought some booze as well.
I did. I just finished my sample of the Imperial Satan's Pony, which again, it's fucking awesome. I love it. I also brought it's from Boulevard Brewing Company. It's a barrel-aged blend. It's collaboration number 6. It's
That doesn't explain
between-
anything.
I know it doesn't explain shit.
We need to call them.
It's a brewery between Matt Brynildson, brewmaster of our sister brewery Firestone Walker, and they joined Boulevard brewmaster Steve Pauls, and they created this blend. Yeah, it's
That's fantastic. This is like a Facebook introduction.
It's a blend of 4 beers. It's a blend of an Imperial Stout X Tart Cherry,
Look at this hoity-toity ass motherfucker with his beer.
a Bourbon Barrel Quad. It's a blend, and on the other 2 beers are Sticky Monkey, so Hobbit, and
Yep.
Velvet Merkin.
So, can you rate
so
the
Kyle.
thickness and viscosity though? That's what I want to know.
That's not my thing. That's his thing. Hey, Hobbit, try this. Is it thick enough for you?
All right.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not going to pull off the bottle. I'm not a heathen. I'm gonna drink my
that's-
Satan's Pony.
it's got a long neck on it. Is
Promise
that going
not
to
to
excite
stop
you?
when I say when, Hobbit.
And you, okay,
He's just going to tap you on the head when he's done.
you're Foo Fightering me on the left, and he's pulling Jack quotes out on the right. Like, I know that
I like to sit here for where
the second half normally goes off the rails pretty fucking hard, but never have I ever figured that I would have.
So we're playing Never Have I Ever? Is
Yeah,
that what we're
Foo
doing?
Fighters and Jack quotes thrown at me at the same time. So that's impressive.
This is
You're
a new
welcome.
experience.
You're welcome, sir. Live a little.
I like the way alcohol makes me feel.
I think most people do.
That's why it's popular. Makes sense.
I enjoy it. This one is a dick kicker. It's a whopping 12.5.
Damn.
Woo! Yeah,
That's good though.
Done. Fill
it
me
is
up.
good.
That is really
It
tasty.
is good. I think it's a tie tonight. Like both of the beers are really
Yeah,
good.
they're really solid.
I could see both
very
these-
different approaches.
Yep.
The barrel age, you can definitely taste the heavier kind of tone to it. This is, I wouldn't say lighter by any stretch. This is definitely a dick kicker. You can tell that you'd get fucked on one bottle of this.
Probably.
But oh god, but it's smooth for a 12%.
Right?
Holy
Right?
shit. That's tasty.
If I could stop burping for 5 seconds.
Could you? Here.
Okay, I'm good.
That does not taste like 12%.
No, it doesn't.
No, it does not.
We've had some like 10% that taste more like a 12% than this does.
Yeah.
We've
On
had
the
some
show.
10% that
Temper-
10%?
Temper-fence?
Temper fence. It's
Pepperfence.
I speak
Peppermint?
fences that are
regular
tempered.
weed.
Tempered fence.
Yeah,
Any new sponsor?
angry fences.
It does land in your chest though. That's for sure. That I'm actually not sure what it's called.
So wait,
That's what Hobbit
So wait,
said. You know?
depending on the fence, is that a new kind of sexual thing? You know, angry scissoring, angry fencing. Is that like a new thing?
Angry
Women do?
fencing is the male version of angry
Right,
scissoring.
yeah. It's a little sword fighting action.
That sounds,
Angry fencing.
God damn it.
that sounds painful and
What? Sadomastic?
sadomastic. Thank you.
Sadomastic.
Angry fencing is aggressive docking.
Yeah.
Do you say docking or docking?
No, aggressive docking.
Dawkins was never aggressive.
No.
No. He's breaking the chains, though, man. He's
Welcome
breaking
to the
chains.
second half, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Utter chaos.
Yeah.
No, there's
much.
rhyme to the reason.
Fuck structure.
No, yeah.
Yeah, but so those.
It's
are
fine the
shares-
way you said it
Yeah.
because it complements the exact thing that we're listening to here. So
All right, so Lowdown. Besides the share, you're drinking on
I'm drinking on the original East Coast local. I got
Yeah.
some Yingling.
some Yingling. Yes.
I don't agree with the state, but I love the beer.
And
What
don't
the
agree
fuck?
with some of. I don't agree with some of the the contributions that were made via Yingling in previous election cycles.
Oh
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
back that shit.
No, you can't.
No, I really can't.
You're gonna pull a Shatner. I can't get behind that. Yeah.
I get behind most things, but not that.
But no, seriously, Yingling's great beer. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of PA at the moment.
Yeah.
Go
Smash.
fuck yourself, Jersey.
Smash, you're drinking on one of your go-tos.
Yes, this is my go-to.
I think you discovered that on the podcast, actually.
I did.
Yeah.
He's
I
behind
had
the
not,
times.
I had not had it before, and I tasted it, and then I just since then there's like used to be just Newcastle. I went straight to, and most of the times I still do, but I find myself every now and then it's either that or it's the Vienna Lager from Devil's Backbone. It's just a great beer.
Oh, it's an amazing beer.
It's just strong enough. It's not weak, and it's not an overpowering taste at all. And you can drink. I mean, I've had probably almost a 6-pack.
Yeah.
And I barely noticed until I was like, "Fuck! I only got 2 left."
Yeah.
All right, this will help.
But that's the
That is helping right
That's
now.
actually the definition of a sessionable beer,
Yeah.
where it's flavorful as fuck. You enjoy drinking it, but you can power through those things, no problem.
And it twists your whole perception of
You
time.
know,
no, that's just beer.
That's not. Maybe that's just
Cause
beer.
of and solution to
Mutually exclusive.
all life
out of
problems.
the almost 100 episodes and almost 2 years we've been doing this, we keep bringing up sessionable and beer. And Devil's Backbone Vienna Lager is a sessionable beer. Yingling is a sessionable beer. No one's bought fucking session lager to the episode yet. That is literally a sessionable beer.
I definitely did on the early days.
I have no recollection of that.
Was this before?
But because we drank session lager and we got fucking hammered and we didn't remember.
But yeah,
What's the percentage on it?
I mean, it's a standard lager. It's like 4.95, something like that.
No, that's not bad.
No, I think it's like 5.5 or 6 maybe.
Really?
Yeah, I think
you
so.
with the black? The black label
the black.
stronger.
Yeah.
You guys used to
Okay.
put them away a lot more in those early days too,
I'm
though.
saying.
Holds a lot more weight.
Well, that's-
You know what I mean?
I was thinking about that today. Is that
Fucking
the
stupid.
early days of the podcast, the Under the Influence of Geeks Under the Influence
It was a lot stronger.
a lot more focused.
Yeah. There was a lot more
Was
drinking
it?
and raucous.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't remember those.
Those were the days that Anthony fell asleep on the corner of a wall.
Lots of bourbon.
That Lowdown fell asleep, threw up, and then broke my bathroom.
I think what episode was that? Because I was on there.
Star
we're like-
Wars was the first Star
That's
Wars
right,
out of the
it was.
trilogy.
I was like-
the first Star Wars.
I was like, he was the guy who like introduced me to you all,
Yeah.
and so that was my first episode.
But think about that. That was a few months before episode 7 came out. Is when we recorded that. So
Yeah.
that's,
It was.
that's how long ago that was.
Yeah.
We definitely still drink and have a good time, but I think everybody's noticed that people are paying attention now. So we
Right.
gotta like actually say stuff
shit up,
sometimes.
dude.
I'm gonna be
bit.
honest with you. If we were like hammered and we're still talking shit, and we get up and start falling all over each other, people are probably going to tune in.
Well, now
No,
you have
more.
the live stream.
Yeah, now you have the live stream, so you've done it.
Yeah.
I think we should get like big foam bats. We smack the shit out of each other with them.
Every episode,
That'd be
someone
great.
just gets
when
up,
someone's just
stands
talking
up.
too much.
Yeah, it's like, stop it.
No.
No, yeah.
No, use the pinata sticks. That'll make much more of a presence.
No, we don't want blood on the table.
We got to get into the actual focus
Right,
of
yeah.
the
Oh, the
conversation.
fucking
We had a
Sega.
theme?
That's right.
Yeah.
That thing we
We're
saved my life.
theming. Tonight we're talking about Sega Genesis, and the second half. Let's just dig into some of our favorites.
Yeah.
Some more
for
of our
Sega
favorites.
Genesis.
We had talked about a little, yeah.
a little bit, but for me, it was both on Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, and I don't want to ignore those titles because you're cutting out a major swath of our upbringing by ignoring stuff that was on both
They
systems.
still had minor differences that mattered.
There were minor differences, and this is one of them. That Shadowrun.
Oh,
If
yeah.
anybody's familiar, it was
Yeah.
a weird cyberpunk meets like magic, like RPG. It was based on a
Tabletop.
tabletop game
Yeah.
of the same name, and
Which is my familiar. I never actually played the video game. Or the
video-
new one either, actually, they have, which is, I hear, pretty amazing, too.
I remember the 360 version of Shadowrun was a giant, like wet, like loud, like spraying turd. It was terrible.
Now, the newer one is...
It was so bad.
It's a PC title, and it's got like it's kind of like when Neverwinter came out and people would mod it and build their own adventures and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's very true to the tabletop. But the tabletop is such a fascinating concept of like when you were playing Dungeons and Dragons is fucking cool, and I love Dungeons and Dragons. But you don't get to have a shotgun troll, that's the coolest concept.
That was the best part of it. Is like Shadowrun, where it's like you have like fucking like Mad Max armor, and like fucking machine guns and shit. But you can also cast a shaman spell on somebody.
Yeah,
yay! So I can just have all.
Everything is cool. That's cool.
I was like fucking Ron Swanson when he's like, I will have all the eggs and bacon you have, and I was like, I will have all the magic and sci-fi that you have.
Yeah,
I know what I'm about, son.
Yeah,
you may have misheard me. You may have heard that I
know
wanted
what I like.
some. Like I want all of it. But that's what it was like. You were getting like weird like shaman like voodoo dolls and shit, but you were also collecting like bullets for your weird laser machine gun thing. It was amazing. It was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
And I played the shit out of it.
Did you ever see they had a commercial out around that time for the tabletop game? Not a commercial. It was like it was probably like a video that came with like one of the tabletop box sets or something. But it's just like live action actors, like a dude who looks like Fabio is a barbarian, but he's like running down the street with a submachine gun. And then there's like a chick who's a hacker, and she brings out her deck, which is this big clunky thing, and she's like clacking away on a keyboard. And then, they have to get into a gunfight while she hacks in and opens up a door or whatever. And it's so fucking 80s, but it's so fucking amazing. Or early 90s, maybe.
The minute we're done with this, I'm going to go on YouTube, and I'm sure
You've
somebody
gotta find
uploaded
it.
it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got to find that, and I will post that to
my
the GUI page.
curiosity.
Yeah, so fun, so ridiculous.
Well, going off of Sega RPGs, one of my favorite, well, two of them, I guess, Shining Force 1 and 2. I don't know if anybody here has played those because they were a little bit more niche, I guess. They were they were the few JRPGs that made it onto the Sega.
Okay.
Very Fire Emblem-y, like I don't know. It was since there's no one here that I'm gonna be able to rip on with this.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it's a dead end for me here.
Yeah.
That's when I need to have like the Saturday morning like DJ thing, like that. The little like fucking soundboard.
We're gonna have some other geeks out there who are gonna follow suit.
One guy on the stream. Oh, that guy just mentioned Shining Force. I love it, and I just alienated him.
Yeah, now you've ruined it.
You had one guy. Yeah. One guy.
And he was halfway through typing that comment, and he just like backspace.
He was like,
I don't want anyone to know.
and then he'll just type ... I do not talk like that.
How about the Sonic and Knuckles expansion?
Yes.
Sega CD.
Well,
They had
there
that
was
too.
yeah,
There was one on just the regular cartridge.
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was.
Sonic 3.
It was Sonic 3, and then you plugged it into Sonic and Knuckles. So
I like what they did with Knuckles. I
Yeah.
do.
You just kind of up there with just like, woo.
Yeah.
But was Sonic 3 better than Sonic 2?
No, Sonic 2 is kind of my...
It was perfect.
Like one of my favorite
Right.
games on the
Sonic
Genesis
2
system.
had the code in which you could turn into, was it Yellow Sonic?
where
You
he's
know
got
what I'm
like all the
talking about?
Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah.
Yes, all the Chaos Emeralds, and he could turn into Yellow Sonic, and he was like basically invulnerable.
Well, you can
No
do
matter
that.
what-
You had to collect the Chaos Emeralds, and then once you did that, you had to have like 50 coins and hit like up B. That was just like part of the function
Which
of
is
the
one of the
games.
funnest
Chaos
part of the
Emeralds,
games.
a.k.a.
was-
the fucking stars from Mario.
Yeah, right. There's always some gimmick.
yeah,
but it was,
MacGuffin.
that was one of the best parts, was going through those big, geometry, or however you want to, big diamonds or whatever the case is, and you're floating in through there and you're bouncing off of shit just to get those gems, and then you go back to the normal game. It was like one of the first side missions.
Yeah.
Are you talking about like when it would go like 3D?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
that was
you were like
3D.
in a pinball machine almost.
Oh, those. Yeah,
trying
that
to
was
collect
Sonic
the
2.
gems.
Yeah.
And it was one of the first side missions.
And speaking of pinball, like one of my favorite fucking games for the Genesis, and it was not a heavy seller for first in this. As far as Sonic titles went, Sonic Spinball.
Yes. Yeah.
I owned it. I played the shit out of it because I've always been a pinball nerd. I've always loved the shit out of pinball. There was a place, and I've mentioned on previous episodes, called Wonderland. Not the one in Richmond.
Gotcha.
Way less like booze and cigarette smoke and Chad. It was a nickel arcade, and you paid a couple bucks to go in, and you gave them money, and they gave you like this giant sack of nickels, and they had this wall of pinball machines, and I played the shit out of it. That was my first move.
Giant sack of nickels?
Giant sack of nickels.
Wow.
Which is what I've called a couple of my friends, actually. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And so to have an at-home pinball machine, which was not nearly as cathartic as the actual pinball system,
Yeah.
but it was the methadone of pinball. Where
I think my at-home pinball machine was like Windows 2000 or whatever. The one it was
Pirate,
like
Space
it was built in.
Wait, you never played Pinbot?
Pinbot. Oh, Pinbot. Holy shit! But that was a PC, wasn't it?
No, that was Nintendo.
Was that Nintendo?
I mean, it might have ported too. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I did a lot of my gaming on PC as well.
If we're
So
on PC, I'd just go Wolfenstein.
yeah,
DOS.
Well, but that's I'm do a pin.
That's
pinball.
not
Shut up.
pinball.
I said if we're going PC,
Yeah.
I'm going with Wolfenstein.
If we're going PC, then I'm going everything. There's everything on PC.
I'm not a big PC gamer.
If we're going PC, I'm going Scorched Earth. Like we're talking PC.
we're all right. We're
Which we
getting
need
off
to,
the rails.
we need to
all
have.
right.
We need to have a episode dedicated to PC gaming.
We'll be back to that.
yeah, because we could talk for hours. Yeah.
Oh, you're not invited.
Oh
No, I'm kidding. No, that would be the dumbest move ever.
Well, now that I realize that like there's a whole thing with bringing booze, I want to come back so I can bring some booze and be like, look what I got.
No,
So
Well,
You
guys
didn't
have been
warn them. You didn't let them know.
I didn't.
Maybe.
Well, if you
I didn't-
listened, you
but
would
see,
know.
The thing
still,
is,
by the way.
like I've got all the prep, and then I don't.
But if you
pass
listen,
the information
then
on,
you'd
yeah.
know that as well.
but I'm also
So-
going on a road trip after this. Like I'm leaving here tonight to go to Georgia.
from
But
here.
I'm just saying,
So-
like podcasts do well. On
So what he's saying
streaming
is that
the
he
road.
should not get liquored up and road trip. So he needs to come back so that he's not going to road trip after, so he
Right.
can drink all the
Are
booze.
you
and-
leaving tonight?
He's literally leaving.
You're
Oh
driving?
wow!
Yeah.
Are you driving?
Yeah.
Joe, I
Nice.
think we're going to be able to do okay. Like you've been fantastic on the episode, so I think.
No.
I think
Stop. You.
Nick, however, get the
Oh,
fuck out now. Just
No,
leave.
Nick,
Just
you're done. This is time two.
yeah. That's it. Strike
There's
two.
no third time the charm. It's stayed
Yeah,
out.
no, we're at 2 strikes you're out
Yeah.
situation here.
Absolutely.
I like you.
Oh, thanks.
Again,
Yeah,
man
he
of
likes
bad
DC.
opinions.
I know.
Man
I
of bad
know.
opinions.
Like, I'm not sure that's a good thing, man.
You're the DC of people, Nick.
It's a good thing. They're too stupid.
No,
That's the
he's-
worst.
It's
All
a
right.
good thing.
So other games we loved.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about on the. Did we talk about it on the episode or out on the porch? The
That's the
Castlevania
problem.
that was specific to.
Yeah, this one.
We talked about
Yeah,
it on
we
the
talked
Bloodlines.
about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bloodlines.
We can
Bloodlines.
talk about it more.
Yeah.
We can talk about that more. Yeah, bunch of bloodlines.
I did want to, before I forget, we were talking outside. I did want to bring up the idea of the shared universe on a gaming platform.
Yeah, that's a pretty
Like-
fucking sweet idea,
like-
actually. For all your bad opinions.
This might be
That's
the
a
only
fucking
one I
sweet
get
idea.
that people respect.
Yeah,
Was to do the Marvel, like Marvel's done in the cinematic universe, or DC has done on the TV, trying to do in the movies.
failing.
Is to bring it to a gaming platform to where you have separate games with separate characters, but have snippets of each one. Each, I guess you could say, post-credit scenes to tie them in together to bleed into one big game.
The basic beauty of that in gaming is that you get that really great chance to world build from different perspectives.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, all right, we can focus on one part of the world here in this game. We can focus on another part of the world, and then when we bring them together, you have this cohesive idea
Right.
of what the world is,
But
or the universe, or
You
whatever
could still
it is.
bring elements of those other worlds into that one.
Right.
And that's how you bleed them together. You just those little bits of those droplets of whatever mythos of that character or superhero is, and drop it into the pool of that one character's story, and then build on that just like they've done in the movies.
Yeah.
And it on a video game platform, I've never seen it
You'd
been
be
done.
far less limited in a video game platform too, because you
Oh,
have to
yeah.
book those actors for those cameo scenes.
Right.
Yeah.
But getting an actor to do a voice, for just a moment, especially if you're using primarily voice actors to begin with,
Exactly.
and not trying to pull the actual cinematic actors, you could constantly have team ups.
Right.
And you could just have someone come in for a level of, like it's just that short term play where they're playing together, and then he goes off and continues the story in his game.
The difficulty is where if you're using an established franchise, if you're doing like a superhero version, that might work. But if it's not a superhero franchise, the thing that video games are kind of stuck with is that sequels to games need heavy bleed over elements. They either need characters or mechanics that cross over, like we're playing the same game again, because for whatever reason people want to play the same games over and over
Right.
again. And so on a large scale, but
I was gonna say like I agree with that. But again, who broke the mold with that was fucking Nintendo with Super Mario Brothers 2. That gameplay was completely 180 from Super Mario Brothers.
Well, that's because it wasn't supposed to be a Mario game.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Donkey
I know.
Donkey Panic. Yeah.
But and same thing.
Same
Okay,
with
we'll go with
Legend of
3.
Link.
3 was completely separate from 1 as far as how the gameplay went.
And
Well,
Super
It didn't
Mario
have this
World as
land
well.
where you could scroll through and then.
Well, they added the world map, but the basics of a platformer are still pretty similar.
Well, I mean, it was all side scroll.
You're like
Yeah.
Mario 2 is the
Mario 2 had
Halloween
side-scroll.
3 Season of the Witch of video games.
No, I don't know if it's quite that
It
bad.
was
It's not
supposed
that
to be a
bad.
different title, and they just attached the title.
I mean, it's
name
more
to
like
it.
Die Hard 2, where it wasn't supposed to be a Die Hard movie, but they made it a Die Hard movie.
But you know how
That's
much you
better.
like fucking pulling beats out of the ground and throwing them at people. Like at least I've got other things that you know.
'Cause
I
when I
can
think
pick up other
plumbers, I
animals
think
and throw
beats.
it. But yeah, beats, fucking beats. What?
Well, it's in the name. You're gonna beat something with it.
Oh.
Get out.
Yeah.
Luigi.
I had to nail the coffin, man.
you got it.
Luigi, I don't want this.
Like Luigi was like on coke with the fast legs. Remember when you picked Luigi? Like,
Yeah, and he would like do and they've kept that. That's one of the coolest things. Is
Luigi's-
like that game, even though it was a different game. So many things have become canonical. So many of the creatures in Mario 2 and Luigi's like little float. He still has that in Mario 3D World. Like,
Luigi's a cokehead. I'm sorry.
okay.
There's no way he can stand next to his brother
No,
like that.
John
doing the same-
Leguizamo was a cokehead.
John
be clear.
Leguizamo and Luigi are cokeheads.
one and the same.
so.
One and the same.
Yeah. Mario.
Perfect casting.
Luigi Mario.
Yeah,
Can
I'm
we
saying,
just talk about the
like,
Mario
the
movie?
cast-
for
What about the
On the
Mario?
Sega
God,
episode?
no, please.
What,
On the
what about
Sega
the Mario
episode.
from the Super Brothers Mario or Super Mario
Wait,
Brothers
that was-
Super
that was-
Show?
That's actually a weird thing. Sega's never
Right.
made that crossover into like movies.
The TV.
No.
Yeah.
I know.
No,
Sonic
they
movie
did
would
Sonic the
kinda
Hedgehog
suck.
cartoon. They had
The
two of them.
cartoon.
Two of them.
Yeah.
And the one was good, one was bad.
Well, no, the Sonic, you see him move. Sonic, he's got an attitude.
That one was good.
Sonic,
Yeah.
he's the fastest thing alive.
Yeah.
Fastest thing
So-
He's the fastest
My daughter
thing
loves that.
alive.
Thank you, Netflix, again,
Sonic.
because Netflix has it.
That was the good one. Then there was the other one that was bullshit.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
Sonic
weird.
Boom is like I don't know if it's called Sonic Boom, but it's based on the Sonic Boom
No,
aesthetic.
that's Guile's move.
they
in Street
they
Fighter.
they
Sonic
just had
Boom.
they just had an episode where they had a in character discussion that was a commentary on the fall of Sonic. They were talking about how they were talking about a video game and how the creators have changed the characters and
Oh,
made them
wow.
change the way they look and how it's terrible now. But all of it was just allegory for Sonic itself.
Oh, Jesus.
And it was Sonic characters discussing.
They
it.
had
It was
a-
kind of perfect.
They had an in-show reference. So I hear the show is actually pretty good. I've not watched it.
I haven't seen
The
it.
new
But they-
Sonic?
Other than
The,
that,
the
no, no.
Sonic Boom cartoon show.
It's good.
Based,
I
based
watched
on
it.
a game which is absolutely fucking terrible. Like
Yeah.
dog shit,
but kind of
unfinished.
perfectly terrible.
Well,
like it's that kind you love to play. Terrible.
So they've patched it out now, but there was a glitch in Sonic Boom where when you were playing Knuckles, you could basically double jump and pause cancel the double jump, and when you unpaused, it reset as if he were on the ground, but still up in the air. So you could fly up to the top of every level and then just like glide down to the end.
reset your jump count.
Yeah, so you could
What?
just,
Oh,
you could just
shit.
pause cancel all your jumps the whole way to the top.
So you're cheating like we used to cheat in Mario 3 and just like get to the top of the fucking map
Yeah, and
then
fly
just,
across.
Like, glide down. Yeah.
But so they've patched that out, but in the cartoon, because people were talking about how that was such a big flaw of the game, because you could get to areas you're just not supposed to access by doing the jump cancel, and then like the whole game wouldn't load properly, and you could either trap yourself or you could find ways to speed run or whatever. But in the cartoon, he ends up having a dream sequence where he like imagines himself as a superhero and he jump cancels in the show.
What? Okay. That's pretty fucking funny.
So they even
No,
made
that-
fun of themselves.
That's to the credit of the writers.
Yes,
they're
yeah.
Like, they're for the adults that end up watching this. They're
Yes.
like, okay, here you go.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a thing.
I gotta say that my favorite video game adaptation of a into a TV show, Legend of Zelda, with the awful
Excuse me, princess.
Christ.
But did they even have a full season?
I don't know. It was a
No.
couple episodes.
Well,
Because I
it was
watched-
coupled with Captain N,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then the Mario show would always be like right on before
Yeah,
it.
that Mario show was part of it, and it was like Fridays that they would like do intros and shit for
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
They say like, check this out. My daughter, like, it's on Netflix, so I grew up with it. I liked watching it, so I got her to watch it, and she loves it. And now I watch it as an adult. Fuck me, it's awful.
It's so bad.
It's
so bad.
not only bad, but if you're going to go by today's standards of what's acceptable and not of what to say, that entire show
Oh, really?
is
What the-
100%
Mario
like,
Brothers?
against
Yeah.
No,
any.
he's talking about the Zelda one.
I'm
right?
talking about no.
Because he's just basically trying to make out with the princess the entire time.
well, that too. No, I'm
He's
talking
real
about
rapey.
Super
No,
Mario
he's
Brothers
trying
Super
to
Show.
fuck the princess.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Let's be
thought he was
fair.
talking about Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry, I
he's
didn't
trying to
realize.
Put that sword down.
These are
her
racist
throat.
plumbers, man.
No, these Well, no, it's just like the entire show is a fucking stereotype, whether it's Italians
Yeah.
or whatever the case is. Like you try to bring
God,
that
that was
show.
such a time thing. That was like
It
a
really
thing at the time,
was
though.
that early '90s. Like we don't have a clue.
Yeah.
You know, like people are gonna digest this and we're gonna put it out
Well,
there.
I mean, that's how people saw the world. I feel like in a lot of ways because
Yeah.
it was a bigger and scarier world, even such a short time ago, because of the internet. Since then, right? Like
Right,
since
the
then,
sharing
now
of information.
we're constantly dealing with people of other cultures. But back then, people of other cultures were represented by a stereotype. I'm not
Exactly.
justifying. I'm
No,
just saying.
explaining.
No, yeah.
It was a thing.
Right.
No, but it was, it was ignorance.
Yeah.
We're talking about stuff that got adapted into film, and I feel like Hollywood is missing the boat seriously with a Sega title
Yeah.
that needs to be adapted because with the success of all the Fast and the Furious movies,
Are you about to make a pun that you almost slipped to make in the first place just now?
I have no idea why Hollywood hasn't battleshipped Road Rash.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say Fast and the Furious and make a Sonic movie.
No.
They could though.
No,
Like,
but
they
Road
could
Rash, think
Vin
of it.
Diesel
Like,
as
do
Sonic?
basically a motorcycle version of Fast and the Furious and call it Road Rash. And it's a bunch of people that are on a illegal bike run.
Yeah.
Take the actual storyline of the game.
Yeah.
Illegal bike run, and the cops come up and they have chains and pipes and fucking pieces of wood, and they're fucking up cops.
And they do it fucking practical like Mad Max.
that's what
I would be
fuck-
so fucking
That's
in.
the thing that fucked me up with the game is that it's the first video game that I ever remember where you're allowed to just beat the shit out of cops with
That's a good
chains
point.
and pipes and
Yeah.
Although there was
I mean,
a movie.
GTA was there probably before it,
Right.
but it was visceral in Road Rash. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
No,
You
GTA
saw them
was
fall
after.
off their bikes
Was
and
it?
shit.
Yeah,
They
the
ma-
GTA. The first GTA was after Road Rash.
Okay.
The first GTA was PC. wasn't it?
Yes, yeah,
It was
yeah.
after Road Rash.
They
Wasn't
made
there
a.
a fart button for the first GTA?
Was there a fart button?
Or
There
a
was no
burp
fart
button or something.
Maybe.
I remember playing that in my fucking computer class in middle school. I was like, I'm bored.
I will
Fuck,
say
let's play
they made a
GTA.
movie like that. It's a really shitty, fucking terrible movie. It was called Torque. And anybody who doesn't know that, if you
fuck
go and
you
try
with
to
your
look it
torque
up,
bullshit.
I'm just saying, they fucked it up. They tried to do a bike movie, they fucked it up. It was just like that.
Video games to movies again. Not really.
But yeah,
No,
Not
except
really
for
a
the
thing.
first Mortal Kombat. I have a spot in my heart for the first. Look, I
I do
watched
too,
that.
actually.
I'm with
watched
him
that in
actually.
the theaters.
Yeah.
I have a spot in my heart for the first Mortal Kombat because you know what? They didn't try to copy the game, but they fucking tried to stay
Oh
faithful.
well, Christopher
as much as they
Lambert
could.
is fucking.
Yeah, there were some weird choices,
Fuck.
but you know what? He's a good actor too in his own way. Like
Yeah,
he's
like as Highlander for like the
Yes.
first movie.
Yes.
He's a good actor, but he's Christopher Lambert. And
yeah,
that makes him cool.
yeah.
When I think of Christopher
Scorpion?
Lambert, I think of
Don't get me
old
started.
Asian man. That's
Right. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Exactly.
No, you get the old Asian man that's in every film ever, including Big Trouble in
Yes,
Little China.
yes.
You get him to play fucking Raiden, and then you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, he had his
No.
eyes were, I mean, he
But Christopher
tried.
Lambert, though.
He
That's,
tried.
that's what they got to play.
Of course, we did
know.
have
Pronounced
Mortal Kombat.
Lambert.
Lambert.
We did
Whatever.
have
I don't know.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation after Mortal Kombat.
Right. They really dropped the ball.
Where they,
you will die.
No,
where
wait, hold on.
Lang did not last but 5 seconds because they broke his neck.
You've got
You fuck you, character.
all those video games
Don't
movies
sign
in the
another
90s. I put
autograph.
them in the same plane. Mortal Kombat 2, and fucking Street Fighter can all fuck off.
Well, you know
I
what?
don't know,
You know
man.
what?
Mortal Kombat still feels like a good movie.
If
to me.
I'm at home sitting on the
Feels like, when's
couch,
the last time you watched it?
That's the problem. I haven't done it recently.
I will say that if I'm sitting on the couch on a Saturday afternoon and fucking Street Fighter's on TV, I don't care. Judge me all you want. I probably will stop and watch it just out of nostalgia.
Guile is American. They got Jean-Claude Van Damme to play Guile. Okay?
Their casting of of Bison was kind of perfect though.
Bison was
yeah.
perfect.
No, wait. You talking about Bison from the Chun-Li Street Fighter movie or
No, I'm
the
talking,
original?
I'm talking about the Jean-Claude Van Damme guy.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember his name. Adam's Family guy.
Raul Julia.
Yeah,
Yes.
Raul Julia.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He was
No,
underused.
he wasn't awesome.
The worst part
He's
is
always
that's
underused.
the last movie
He
he ever
was.
made.
Yeah.
That was it.
No, it's a bad thing.
It's super sad.
Chun-Li was sexy as fuck though,
mean-
and she happens to be May in
Agents of
Agents
S.H.I.E.L.D.
of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I didn't realize.
May is 55, by the way. Sexy
Right.
as fuck.
Oh my,
I
she was
would-
also the voice of Mulan.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
she
wow.
was.
Yeah.
She'll probably end
God,
up
she's
being
got a
the
whole career
rendering
I have
for the
no- I
character
know
in the
nothing
live
about.
action that's coming
Does
out.
she do any porn?
One
She's
can
fucking hot.
one can only
mean,
hope.
Sure.
She did the weird porn where the crotch is like blurred out. Probably.
Oh, well, nipples? Okay, I think I'm.
Well, those aren't blurred out. Just the crotch.
All right, so back to Sega. back to Sega. Then we got plenty to cover, not a whole lot of time to do it.
Bizarre games. There we
Bizarre
go.
games. All right, we haven't touched on. We've brought it up a couple times. We haven't really dug into Sega CD and Sega Saturn yet.
God.
Yeah.
And those
SWAT.
Yeah.
It seems like Sega CD and Sega Saturn were exclusively bizarre games. Like,
Yes, they were.
Like I think the title that came with it was either 32X or Sega CD. I think it was Sega CD was Sewer Sharks.
yes, yeah, it was Sega. Whoa, hang on. I think it was Sega CD.
I think it
yes.
was Sega CD,
Yeah.
which is like your sharks in the sewer.
Yeah.
Is that
After
The
that,
whole
They were
live
like,
action
we
video
can't
thing.
get the licensing for Ninja Turtles.
So it's
so
like
we'll
Street
just-
Sharks. It's like Street Sharks.
they had a
Street
cartoon,
Sharks.
by the way. I don't know if it's related to that game specifically, but remember they had the cartoon where they try to copy the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Street
No, that was-
Sharks.
Street Sharks.
I
what?
just said that.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was the name. I
Which
didn't watch
actually,
it.
when those
Asshole.
action figures came out, Vin Diesel
Fantastic.
was
ad.
actually on video promoting it for a toy fair.
And he's so
And, like-
he's so into it, man. He
He's
he
super
sells
into it.
himself. He's like, he's got his hand under the table after he's shown some of the figures, and he's like, "But if that's not enough for you, Shark Hand!" And he pulls out this puppet, and it's this rubber
Wait,
puppet.
you gotta hold your nose. It's like, well, if that's not enough, Shrek Head.
It's so good.
Motherfucker has a permanent allergy, man.
Thing is, what I've learned is apparently Vin Diesel is like legitimately a giant nerd.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
D&D was his favorite game of all time.
and he's still to this day D&D's with his like co-stars and
Yeah,
shit when he's
yeah.
on movies.
He got Dame Judi Dench to play, and
He got Dame Judi Dench
Yeah.
to play
To-
D&D.
to-
That's a
digitally-
D&D game I want to watch.
I
Yeah,
know,
no
right?
shit.
He's more than just muscle.
No, that's Vin Diesel. Like
Maybe
it will
not.
make more money than your movies. Like just film.
just do it. Yeah, like Critical Role has proven that you can have a D&D show, and he was on Critical Role for a like 30-minute bit.
Yeah,
God, he needs to do more.
especially with Dame Judi.
Right,
Dench.
get celebrities in. That's exactly what it is.
the irony of a D&D player being an action star. Sorry, go for it.
Yeah. Shut up.
Fuck you, Jersey. Say what
Yeah.
you're gonna say.
Fuck you, Philly.
I'm gonna drink more
How many-
alcohol
how
and
many
get
rings-
out of control.
How many rings you got? Oh, anyway.
This is why a drinking podcast.
But no,
becomes
I was gonna say.
difficult
So is that
sometimes.
why Vin Diesel seems so awkward and bad in like action flicks? He's a nerd and he needs to be in a
He's a
different element?
huge fucking
He needs to
nerd.
be a different element. Like I think he got cast because of his muscles. He got typecast into a wrong role for him.
He's
I,
just a
I don't know if
actor,
that's
no?
the case. I think he'd be a
think?
nerd no matter what, because I've
No,
seen him play
I'm saying
D&D.
He's a nerd. I'm saying so he's in the wrong role.
Yeah.
Like nerds don't belong in Fast and Furious.
He's
Like,
whatever makes him the money to fucking sit around and play D&D as he chooses.
Well, what's
that's
he was
funny-
what
playing D&D before he was making fucking movies.
He had his own game production company for a while
did
called
he?
Tygon Studios, and he specifically said that I think it was his scene in Tokyo Drift where he's just on like the tail end of the movie for a minute.
God, yes.
He took that job just so he could fund his game production company to put out another Riddick game.
Holy
he's like, that's all I
shit.
want to do, so I'll take this job just so I like. He's like,
And
I don't
that's
want
why-
anything to do with it. And then now he's back in, obviously.
And that's why he did like the shitty sequel Riddick movie. Probably
Yeah.
because the first one, Pitch Black, was awesome, and the last one was good. That second one could fuck
No,
off.
Riddick,
Riddick,
the
third one, the
self-titled
newest one,
was
is really
great.
good.
I fucking loved it.
But it was like Pitch
Chronicles
Black,
of
though.
Riddick was so terrible. It was like
Are you talking about Pitch Black and then?
Pitch Black was
Pitch
great.
Black, and then Riddick. Were awesome.
Pitch Black.
I see. I never even watched the third one.
Riddick is really good.
No,
Riddick
Riddick is
Pitch
really
Black,
good.
watch Riddick.
Pitch Black.
All right.
Pitch Black and
Chronicles of
Riddick are awesome.
But do you guys remember him in Babylon AD?
Yes.
What, really? Why you got to go there, man?
Because no one remembers that movie, and for good reason.
He
Ugh.
was in a movie in which he had a full head of hair and he was a lawyer.
Yeah, find
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
Okay.
The full head of hair thing.
Yes. I remember that hair. That motherfucker looked like he had.
All right, so back to-
Back to
kid-
Sega.
I know. We
Okay.
cannot stay on.
Bad, bizarre
that
Sega games.
That is really the second half of Geeks Under the Influence.
Yeah.
We always go off rails, but yeah, the
Night Trap. Bizarre game as fuck.
yeah, no, that's you talked about it on our thread,
Chat, yeah.
our chat thing. Night Trap got a lot of actual, like it got put up in Congress or something.
Yes,
there was a
yeah.
conversation. But you have a story about that.
No, I don't have any story about Night Trap or anything. It was one of the games that my uncle stole and sold for drugs.
Oh,
so
well,
that was that. Yeah.
I mean, that is still a story.
yeah, yeah.
It still counts.
But just that game, I mean, that was such a weird thing because for me personally, it was the first one to, I guess, be one of the full motion games. I mean, there were others that came out right around the same time. That was the first one I played, and if you people don't know, I mean, basically,
You people.
Your ass better
I
call
didn't say you
somebody.
people. I
What
said
do you
if-
mean, you people?
if people don't know, I didn't say you people.
What do you mean, you people?
Yeah, thank you. If people don't know, basically, you are playing a person operating a security camera in a house where girls are having a party, but also alien vampires are killing off girls at the party, and you have to protect them by hijacking the house's trap system, which is there to trap the girls, and use it against the aliens. And they're in these shitty, like, plastic bag costumes, the aliens, and they just, like, they'll creep down hallways and chase after girls, and you have to hit a button at the exact right time to trigger a trap. And it was, like, full of, like, really bad blood because, like, the traps will grab someone and pull them into a wall, and then you'll just see their blood, like, spray or fill a tube or something.
So it was just bad.
It was bad, but it was amazing. It was, like, amazingly bad. One of
I can see that.
one
I
of my
can see
favorite
that.
weird games.
It's like you enjoy it, but you know it's terrible. You know, it's like it's so terrible
Yeah, it was so terrible
that you
and
have
unique.
to enjoy it. Yeah.
But that was one of the games that was brought up when they were talking about actually having a system,
Right.
Like with
The ESRB.
with DVDs or CDs and movies and stuff, to have like actual rating systems.
Right.
And that was one of the games that was brought up as a reason is that
Right.
Nobody was able to tell kids they can't see this and this was not appropriate for children.
Right. Which
They
is,
made it out to be so much worse than it was. So there was
Well,
they were claiming there was nudity in the game. They were claiming that you would see like
Yeah.
actual violence, but you would see like somebody get closed into the wall and then you would see the blood. You wouldn't
Kinda-
actually see anything happen.
bleeds over to today. I mean, all games are rated.
I mean,
by
Right.
the-
It's because of this. Yeah,
Because
and,
of
and
it.
others
do you
around
guys
the
remember
time.
the Mass Effect controversy?
Oh, yeah.
Where they were like Fox News articles where you're like, you have full frontal pornography scenes with aliens, and it's
As opposed to like you kiss them and then it goes
Little
black.
tasteful side
and then,
boob.
Right.
and then-
But what they fail to mention is that an 8-year-old kid or a 14-year-old kid's not going to walk in there and buy it by themselves. They have to have someone there to help to buy it for them.
Well,
You know,
but that
they-
is a direct result of things like the Night Trap situation.
Exactly,
yeah.
You know.
It's like any rated R movie when you were growing up. You wanted to go see it, you had to have someone.
And
to
But
what's
also-
in Mass
know that.
Effect is not that different from what you could see on TV. It just happens to be
yeah.
Right.
computerized.
But what I remember back then, that was pre-internet. That there
Oh,
were
for
all
Night
these
Trap,
other
yeah.
rumors that went around about these games that you were able to get for like Sega CD or like these
Oh, yeah.
systems that nobody you knew had because they were so auxiliary that nobody
Yeah,
you knew
yeah.
had them. I remember there was a rumor, and I don't know if this was exclusive to my group of friends or just one of those weird rumors that just traverses across the entire country. There was a game called Carnal Knowledge.
Yeah.
Where,
Okay.
Yeah.
where you were supposed to like your deal was to bang chicks and apparently some of it was a little bit rough and weird, and that was a thing that was mentioned during that time.
Sure, yeah, the kind of
probably-
the rumors and whispers, yeah.
that's not a game that ever existed. But there are multiple people I talked to that remember hearing about that game in existence.
That's
Right.
crazy.
That's the Shazam movie starring Sinbad. moment.
Right?
For,
yeah.
for Sega.
They probably
Mandela
remember their
effect.
parents
Mandela effect.
playing, Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah,
on
PC
fucking
had a
PC.
lot of porn titles.
Yes, they had tons of
Yeah.
those.
like that was definitely a thing.
Yeah, Leisure Suit Larry was just a dude running around. He's a little midget, pervert,
Yeah.
fucking walking around in a suit, just trying to get laid.
Yeah.
That was the entire game.
And if you played the game perfectly, if you could get to that penthouse level
Right.
where you've done everything right, you got to see some very pixelated boobies.
Yes, you did.
That's the reward.
His nipples were like 4 pixels.
Yeah.
And they were just red
It's like
spots. in
it's
between
like
pink.
3 red and 1 pink pixel. That's a nipple.
Now, going back to the systems, 32X and Sega CD, they were released very close to each other.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
within a matter of a year or two, I think.
Yeah. Well, 32X is supposed to be its own console.
It was supposed to be its own console, but how many
Well-
games were actually released for 32X? It wasn't
Not
that
many at all.
Yeah.
And that was the problem with Sega, is that they kept doing that. So
That's it bled desperation.
yeah,
That's
it,
what
well, it
came
was.
to.
It literally
Yeah.
was desperation.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were
yeah.
losing market share, and so they literally wanted 32X to be its own thing, and they said, it's too soon after the console, so they ended up building it as an add-on instead, and it was like so cool. But then when it didn't save their company, because add-ons have historically been terrible for consoles and sales, like they never work out, and I don't know why companies kept trying them. Then they were like, oh shit, we need to do another console quick.
But you look at the underside of all those early systems. There's all these like add-on ports.
Yes,
that you can see on the underside. It's like I think even the Nintendo had add-on ports on the underside, like that. They weren't sure what things were gonna happen,
Yeah,
so
that's
they
really
just,
where
like,
it comes. Yeah,
they gave themselves options to start, which created rumors for days.
Yeah.
Like every other month, you'd hear about a new Sega system or new Nintendo system that was supposed to add on to a port on the underside of a thing.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it was them just like giving themselves options because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing in the future.
absolutely, absolutely the case.
But with Sega CD and 32X, I think it's kind of humorous that the reason Nintendo has lasted so long is they innovated by having auxiliary stuff where they had
Well, they would launch a console with a gimmick, I feel like.
well, with gimmicks, but the gimmicks worked. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, granted, the Super Scope did not work as well as the gun from NES.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
but it's still super cool to have a bazooka on your shoulder.
But all Mario Paint sold like fucking hotcakes.
Yeah.
It sold really well. Like they've always tried to innovate the auxiliaries that go into the system. Whereas,
That's true.
Whereas Sega was just like, no, you just add this thing to the game system, and then you can play other games that are slightly better quality.
I will say the one thing that I love that Sega did, although it died out, was the Game Gear. Or the
Yeah.
Sega Game Gear.
it was a fantastic quality handheld, like best handheld of its
hell yes.
time.
Hands down.
Battery life.
Only handheld that you could watch fucking television on with the right
Agreed
adapter.
with the antenna.
Yeah.
I still have it. I have all those components. I have every game I have Altered Beast for it.
Yeah.
And it looks the exact same as if I was just to play it on a Sega.
Yeah,
and that
it looked
was
fucking great. It was
Yeah,
mind-blowingly
and
good.
it's amazing how they didn't build on that.
Well, the
Whereas
batteries
Nintendo
were the huge
on the
problem.
DS, yeah, but Nintendo did it from Game Boy to Super Game Boy to DS and
Yes.
all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like
but
they chose
PlayStation
to
even
drop
dropped the
it.
ball. PlayStation even dropped the ball because they had Vista.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They dropped it, but I remember Game Gear
Vita.
was huge.
I still I'm saying I have one to this day,
Does it
and
work?
it works perfectly.
When's the last
I
time you
played
used it?
Ultra Beast maybe a few months ago.
Uh.
Lorelai has played Sonic on it. Well, she plays Sonic on it regularly,
Oh, those graphics.
and
Was it better
it's-
than handheld,
I have
though?
Mortal.
Yeah,
I,
so it's the most amazing handheld.
I have the
yeah,
first
at the
Mortal
time.
Kombat on it, and it's still
It was backlit.
oh yeah, pictures
huge.
The pictures perfect.
Yeah, if you're used to Game Boy, which almost made me fail freshman year of high school.
Because
because
you're
I-
going blind.
but you don't.
Yeah, but
no matter
because
how
I had
you
it under
tilt
my
it.
desk with the volume turned low,
yeah.
playing Tetris the entire time.
yeah, yeah.
But you know, like just black and white, like excuse me, what was that? Black and like a green.
it was
hue.
green. Yeah, it was,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Fucking green hue.
And unlike
Sonic had-
attaching-
Game Gear had color, so you're like, oh sweet.
Yeah, and unlike attaching a
huge. It was
fucking
a fucking
flashlight
brick,
to it
man.
to shine on your screen,
Yes.
like you said, it was backlit. So no matter how you tilted it, whether it was night or day, you could play that thing.
Yeah.
And to this day, it still works. And it still work. And it's been through some shit.
Okay, we are very close to the end of the episode, so we got to talk about the downfall of Sega. We're talking Saturn. We're talking Dreamcast. We're talking them getting to where they lost the console wars, and they're still around. They're still doing shit, and we're gonna get into that too. But they lost the game. Sega CD was really the last bastion.
Terrible.
And
well, Dreamcast
was
launched,
not good.
but it launched with the best sales of any console at its time.
and
It hit hard,
and with the best intentions, with
Yeah.
the additional game that you could play on the save card,
yeah.
on the
And the
controller.
controller, yeah.
They used hype, and then when that hype died down, it died.
it's gone.
Well, it had some tremendous titles very
Yeah.
quickly, and then it had nothing.
Well,
but also it was in the shadow of the looming GameCube and PS2
Right.
and just all these things that we knew were coming. That
And GameCube's
PS1.
an amazing
It
system.
was in the shadow of PS1.
PS2. It was.
No,
Was
it's
it-
PS2.
he's talking about what came out right after it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You said shadow. I'm thinking
yeah,
like
you're
came
right,
out
you're
before.
right.
Right? No,
so
he means
Didn't it have an Ultimate title?
I don't know.
Dreamcast?
Whoa.
I'm not sure.
They had
but
Phantasy Star Online for
Yeah,
like an
they
hour.
Oh,
did
yeah.
online.
I want to say they had an Ultimate title on Dreamcast, and anybody listening or watching, like, please correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong. But I want to say there was like a group like fight thing that was on Dreamcast. So I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm sure that's a thing. There's a lot of things that are things.
Well, I do remember
So many things
Wisdom.
are
A
things.
lot of things that are things.
that's
Fucking Philly.
Philly knowledge.
Yeah.
right there. Yeah.
God
we like
damn.
to break it down to
I
simplicity.
will say one of my favorite games from Dreamcast was from a movie that I despise to every ounce of my being, the pod race game from episode 1.
See,
Oh,
for me,
Jesus
it was the
Christ.
same.
Fuck you, I'm out.
No, guys. That game was fucking awesome.
That game was amazing.
Graphic wise,
amazing
it was
game.
looked
No,
good.
we played it on N64 and PC
NBC.
mostly.
I had it on Dreamcast. Well, I didn't have it on Dreamcast.
Was there any
I played it on
differences
Dreamcast as well.
between 64 and PC? Or
There,
was it
the
pretty much-
PC was like definitely
really
the
good.
definitive version to
Because
have.
you could, I mean, I feel like
The
is that
processing
case
was
with most
way
PC?
faster.
Because like you just have more
Definitely,
RAM
definitely
to
at the
deal with and
time.
processing speed.
Definitely at the time, it was. I think now consoles have caught up pretty well. I still prefer to play my games on PC.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, for a lot of cases, it's modability if that matters for the game. Other times, it's just like I have my Steam library and I know that I'll always have it. You know, like if I go up to a new computer, new operating system, everything, I'm still gonna have my Steam library. It's just
Right.
there with me. Consoles, I really only want for the exclusives. Like I bought a PS4 recently because there's some console exclusives on PS4 that are pretty cool. Bloodborne and some others.
Resident Evil.
And I mean, consoles have caught up in processing power. They're amazing now. But I'm always a PC guy. I don't know.
It's amazing that a lot of them are just basically Benny
Yeah.
CPUs. Like
Yeah.
that's all they are. So they're there to store data. You can play these games on them, but they can do everything your computer
Right.
can do.
They're
except for,
entertainment systems
You're not
now,
going to go in
yeah.
there and search Google, but you could
You
if you had the
can.
right setup.
I
You
want
can go on the internet.
Right, I'm saying
give a
but
shout out
most
to
people won't.
one of our watchers, Mitch Lord, is
shit.
commenting on a regular
shit.
basis. That said 32X had 40-ish titles, and there were seriously 200 games for Sega CD. I want to check his math on that one. I think that's probably not true.
Sega
I
CD was
guarantee you
terrible.
he's telling the
200
truth.
games on Sega CD.
I believe
you know
it.
Mitch Lord.
We
better
know
than-
Mitch Lord.
Okay,
He is
okay.
a honest man.
200
All
games.
right.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That seems
So
insane to me.
what Saturn and CD had? I don't know which one did he say had 200
Sega CD.
CD. So what CD had and Saturn had as well.
Well, he also mentioned that a lot of those were just carryovers from the original system stuff.
they were carriers
Yeah,
from
like
original.
Echo the Dolphin and shit like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then the other thing they had was I was reading this recently as well and prep for this episode. Sega already had all of those arcade tie-ins. You know, they had all these companies, and they were like, "We have this failing thing, but just throw everything you have at it for the Sega CD." So Sega CD and Sega Saturn late releases were a huge amount of arcade ports that otherwise you didn't get on any other console.
Yeah.
So there's some value there.
So here's two things though. The Sega versions of the arcade games were never as good as the arcade games.
Sure,
Of
it's
course.
a port.
Because they couldn't be. They couldn't be.
But
be.
which is
But-
also something that needs to come back that died is to bring back a place for
It's not going to
Those
happen,
type of-
though.
But
All right, whatever.
for
I'm just living in a
one
dream.
of the Sega's best qualities being that it had a subpar version of another thing, that was kind of a sign that
Yeah.
Sega didn't have a real flagship. Like
Right.
Sonic was its
Yeah.
one big thing, and then other companies had so much to go on. The real reason Sega went down is because everyone else was doing so good. Like,
Yeah.
like it was. I think Sega was trying a lot of things. They just didn't have anything that had real traction.
That's the thing, is that it didn't catch.
Yeah.
With the populace.
Yeah.
They were trying stuff. They were I mean, with 32X and Sega CD, they were trying. They were throwing.
Yeah.
They took the pot of spaghetti as opposed to one to make sure it was done. They threw the entire pot at the wall.
The problem with 32X and Sega
No.
CD as well, though, is it wasn't a good-looking console. Like
No.
that massive tower.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look good, and I
No.
feel like aesthetic is a
What was
huge
one of
play.
the first
huge.
games for Sega CD? Was it the SWAT game?
I thought it was a Sonic and Knuckles game.
You know what I'm talking
The
about?
Sonic
Swat
CD,
Force.
Sonic the
C-
Hedgehog CD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
That was
Which
Sega
actually
Sega
CD.
got
launch
really
title
good
with it.
response too.
That was
That
the
game
launch
was fun.
title,
It
right?
was
That
great.
the
It had the
SWAT
best
game.
opening song. It was terrible, but it was
That-
like the right kind of
I
terrible.
just remember. I remember the first time I saw that at my buddy's house because again they had the Sega.
Yeah.
And when he got that, I remember we went and played that game, and it's just the graphics. At that point,
Well, it opened with this like huge animated sequence of Sonic running, and
Yeah.
then he like runs up this chain to a floating island.
and then like Knuckles pops in somewhere.
yeah, probably. Yeah.
No, the game had
Oh,
Sonic and Knuckles. The
it's
game
all-
had Knuckles.
It's all
Yeah,
flooding
yeah.
back.
So it bleeds
Yeah.
into the now what we have is mostly cinematic and some gameplay.
Yeah. Well, that was the whole Sega CD. Like so much
Well,
of it was cinematic.
Exactly. Yeah.
My experience with the Saturn was they didn't get shit for games. Holy fuck, man.
That is true.
Yeah, let's
Dude.
get into Saturn very briefly.
Saturn didn't even have a Sonic title.
No, it did
No.
not. Not a single Sonic game.
Well, because
PlayStation
what did
2
they
had
have?
Sonic. Saturn didn't.
They played on the reality of your perception versus knowing you're playing. A
That's
game.
ultimately why I wanted you guys here. Like, I have no knowledge of Saturn.
Most
Saturn.
people don't.
Yeah, that's nothing.
It's a terrible.
It wasn't good. I played like a NASCAR game, and they had an Alien game, like
Yeah.
Alien something.
It's got a cool name
It
for a
was so
console.
fucking
It's
boring.
It's a great name.
That was a
but-
great
No,
name. And,
that failed, and the car failed. It's not a good name.
and the system looked really good. But if you don't
yeah,
have
it was
titles,
sleek,
then
yeah.
you're done.
they didn't
Like,
have
that's-
shit. They didn't have shit.
Yeah.
Did they have Dragon's Lair on the Saturn?
They had it on Sega CD. I don't know if they brought it over to Saturn or not.
Which is funny. It might be, the presentation might have had something to do with it, but not a lot.
But
But if you look at the old Sega,
If there's a bunch of old gamer nerds that are sitting here trying to think of one title that Sega
Yeah.
Saturn had, that's maybe kind of the reason why it failed.
Yeah.
Is that there was nothing that. I'm sure they had games. I'm sure they had at least a few, but there was nothing that really captured our interest by any stretch of the imagination.
Not at all. Like I can honestly say, like I spent 3 weeks over summer at my cousin's house. He had a 64, and a buddy that lived down like about 6 or 7 houses down the street had a Saturn, and we all spent more time at my cousin's house playing the
Right.
64 than we did playing the fucking Saturn.
fucking
Yeah.
Duke
Yeah.
Nukem.
It was amazing.
Yes. Because no,
One of the
Saturn just
best
had
games
shit
ever
games,
for
man.
the,
I mean, he
Nintendo
had like
64,
8
in my
games,
opinion.
8 or 9 games for the
GoldenEye.
Saturn.
GoldenEye was
None
Of
of them
course,
were
GoldenEye
fucking
is a
fun, man.
standard.
Yeah.
That's a standard.
I think that's what it comes down to.
to this
is that
day, it's a standard, even on the Wii.
Everybody's really excited about the furthering of technology and the quality of the games that you're coming out with, and that's definitely important nowadays. But there's something to be said for the old games, and I
Yeah.
think that's what we can say about Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo and like those old systems is that they were not relying on quality of
Power,
of-
technology.
of the of
Funding?
their 16 bits.
Right.
They were focusing primarily on gameplay, and the reason why they lasted as long as they did was because they focused on gameplay. And
I don't know if that's entirely true because at what they had at the time, they were touting pretty heavily.
Sure.
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah,
blast
yeah, yeah.
processing. Like they
But
were all
which
about how
doesn't
fast
exist,
they
by the way,
were.
but
Blast
blast
processing is bullshit.
Yeah,
it's not a
Yeah,
thing.
no, it's not.
There's actually a story for that. A guy was describing the technology, and he just happened to say, and it just blasts the data on through. And the guys were like, "Oh,
Marketing.
I like that. I like that term you use."
Yeah,
but even
gets my
still,
dick hard.
there were invisible limitations to design that they had.
Yeah.
That guy, without them knowing it, they thought, "Oh, we got the cutting edge, but they had so many limitations that they were designing around. And when you have designers in a tight space like that who are like thinking creatively, then that does generate a lot of really good ideas.
limitation.
Actual lack of
Absolutely.
limitations now is a detriment in a lot of ways to design space.
Right.
Because people are like, what do? We imitate something else. They don't know what to do with all this design space, so they imitate the same things that have happened
That's
over and over
actually
again,
a
and it's
really good
really
It's
point.
bland.
is
solid.
that
Yeah.
sometimes when you're pushed to where you have a very specific direction, you come up with the most creative shit.
Right.
Like
To
if
deviate
you go,
from that direction.
Just do. You're like, well, I don't even know where to start.
Well,
you know?
it's necessity is the mother of invention,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
when you're in the box, you can say, "What can I do here?" Yeah, and
I mean,
and if you can't,
Even today, most of my favorite games, if I were to do like a top 20 list, most of them are SNES games.
yep,
Yeah, I have to agree.
Sega episode.
And like I
But
said,
no, that proves the point
It
about
does.
Sega, though.
It does.
that's what I said before. Like one of my favorite games of all time is Duke Nukem. That's
Of course it is.
on the 64.
Chewing bubblegum.
Right. It's time to chew bubble gum and kick some ass, and
Yeah, but that's
I'm all out of gum.
They live.
Right, but he's obviously heavily based on that character too.
Yeah, no shit,
But
right? Yeah.
at that age, I wasn't well acquainted with They Live.
That's
I got
fair.
to meet Roddy
Yeah.
Piper. by the way.
Nice.
I'm sure he did. Did you bend over for him?
I mean, I would have.
You
Yes, fuck.
totally would have.
I totally would. You would have too.
No, I'm not saying I wouldn't.
I've
Okay.
heard he's very thick
Look,
and
his,
viscous.
his mouth
And on that note, thank you so much.
salty in your mouth, Hobbit.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Geeks Under the Influence. I'm Mike the Hobbit Bickett. Check us out on GUIPodcast.com and all our social media. We're going to continue this conversation after we're done here on the porch. But
There's gonna be several
but if you wanna
penises in your
continue
mouth.
This conversation with us. Follow us on social media. Hit us up at geeksundertheinfluence@gmail.com. And as always, join us or die.
Shut the fuck up, Hobbit.
Join us or die, or I will swallow your soul. Necronomicon gives us cauterized the dead. You play to take, or play begins to spread. You can fight all you want, cause you know to resist. We're here to take the world and rule with all your fists. So join us or die, or I will swallow your soul.
GUIPodcast.com.